Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. We have a lot to talk about. It was an action-packed weekend in the world of golf. Patrick Reed, cheater, not cheater, all the drama that came out from it. Used Golf Facts is in the mix. There were all sorts of takes, hot takes, cold takes, people backtracking, people sticking to their convictions. Brandel Chambly was all over Golf Channel doing what I assume will get him more cease and desist letters from the Patrick Reed family, who, by the way, are absolutely phenomenal for professional golf as a whole. We're going to get into all of that. We also have World Series champion pitcher Ryan Dempster's on the show. He is hilarious, very, very funny guy, big golfer, tells great stories about being at St. Andrews, Pebble, all kinds of good stuff. So we have an action-packed show, like I said. Lurch is slinging drones somewhere in the
drone sphere
with his fucking Star Wars background, so he'll be on the show probably in 10 or 15 minutes. Anyways, I'm joined by my very good friends Frankie Borelli and Mr. Trent Ryan. Gentlemen,
hello Riggs.
How are you guys?
Talk about action. Sometimes we come on this show and there's not a ton going on in the golf world, and we talk about the cosmos and how many, if we're a drop in the bucket, or
we'll still talk cosmos.
Yeah, we probably still will, but this one in particular, there is a lot to sink our teeth into in terms of the golf world, and I'm very excited to talk about it because I'm not exactly sure what angle everybody's going to come from, but I'm interested to hear what everybody has to say.
Which I will say is pretty much the crux of what my point on Twitter has been all weekend long, which is that guess what, motherfuckers, there is something to talk about, and it is exciting. There's very passionate angles on both sides. There's footage. People are breaking it down like I said, like it's frame 313 from the JFK assassination. What happened? Where'd the bullet go? Is there a tee in the ground? Is there not a tee in the ground? At what point was this said to the marshal? Was that said to the rules of it? There's all kinds of shit going on. So we're going to break it down. We're going to react to it. Owens mixers. That's another thing that's going to be a great reaction for you as a person, for your taste buds, for your life. We love the transfusion. We've been talking about, we referenced transfusion in a couple of different interviews that we've already recorded today because it's a delicious cocktail. We made our own, we taste tested it. We got it to the perfect combination of the ingredients that we like, and boom, Owens whipped it up and is now working to move it all over the country. Amazon, you get it on Amazon. They've got the mint cucumber and lime. They got grapefruit and lime. I'm getting a lot more tweets. Shout out to Lurch, who's not here, of people throughout the last few weekends who are getting on the Paloma train. So look, you're always, you know what that tells me? People are looking for new drinks, looking for new cocktails. You're sick of maybe the same old beer or the same old cocktail, the same go-to bland thing that you've been drinking. When you really want to sit back, you want to have a few, get Owens mixers. You pour it in with your liquor of choice, and that's it. You have an elite, a classy cocktail. It's that simple. Go to owensmixers.com. They got a store located on there. Go to Amazon. Go to store.barstoolsports.com. Go to your local store. We got all kinds of Owens all over the place. We're working on the distribution. They are huge supporters of what we do, so go support them, and you're going to be a repeat customer because they've got a great product. So a big thanks to Owens. Couple very quick housekeeping items. Tommy Fleetwood. So our Tommy Fleetwood first tailor-made video coming out Tuesday night, 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel. That's tonight. You're right. That's a very good point, Frankie. That is tonight.
Oh, so wait a minute. Wait, real quick. It's not tonight for everyone.
True. Because you could be
in LA
in Australia
or LA. It comes out at like 9 o'clock, does it not?
Well, I said 8 Eastern. But in terms of tonight, you're right. The podcast, Jake puts it up at like midnight Eastern. So you could be listening to this at like 9 p.m. Monday.
Correct.
You'd be like, well, I got 2 hours. It's going to come out. So that would
Some guy messaged me and was like, every time you guys say the whole tomorrow thing or tonight thing, it always throws me off because I always listen to the day you guys record it. So like I'm in the same boat as you where it's like you're trying to promote stuff tomorrow, today. Oh, this new video came out today. I'm listening to it now, which is yesterday.
I would tell that fucking guy, Frankie, next time he reaches out to you, I would say, you know what? The way I would look at it is this is a Tuesday release show. And every time you get to listen to it Monday night, we're actually doing you a huge favor of releasing it early.
Yeah, so I told him to lick my grundle, but I'll go for the others. No, I actually didn't even answer him. But No, I thought it was interesting.
What I was trying to say. So
I thought it was interesting, and I think that we should, we have probably a lot of people in the West Coast, and I mean, really every other coast aside from ours that listen to it not at midnight on Eastern time.
Anyways, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, YouTube.
Nice.
We're going to be in there. We're going to be in the chat. Tommy Fleetwood. We've had one interaction with him before, which you may remember from Pebble Beach. People have wondered. They've been curious. How will the next time that these guys see this superstar in the world of golf, Tommy Fleetwood, how will that go? You get to check it out tonight or tomorrow, depending if you're on the West Coast.
It's a really good video, by the way. It's awesome. It's super informative. And also just makes you, whenever I watch Barstool videos with celebrities or athletes, it makes me have a newfound respect for them. And I also feel like I know them. And I think you get that vibe from this Tommy Fleetwood video. It's like 13 minutes or so of us just hanging out with Tommy Fleetwood, learning how to hit bunker shots. And he is like the best strokes gained from bunkers in 2019, whatever the stat is. Like, he's a guy that you want to listen to. And I think everyone watching it will get that feeling of like, oh shit, man, like Tommy Fleetwood is one of us. Like, he's just a really cool guy. And then also you'll get so many tips and tricks and tricks of the trade from this video. I mean, I thought
you were going to get stuck there.
I tried to think of a third one that didn't have anything to do with the word tricks, but I couldn't think of a third saying.
Okay.
You'll get so many of these little trinkets. Nope. That's like a trinket's like a little fucking Barbie doll, right? Like a little trinket.
Of tidbits?
Tidbits? Fuck! Yeah, man. That's not even close. Trinkets are not even close to tidbits. It's insane, but kind of close to tidbits. You can see where I got mixed up there.
Oh, you know what?
You were kind of in the same universe as tidbits.
You're brave for going back in when you couldn't think of it the first time. You're like, yeah, you get a lot of trinkets out of it. It's like
trinkets. You'll get a lot of tidbits from fucking Tommy Fleetwood, and I think that you're going to be hitting your fucking group chats. You're going to be saying, "Look at this tip. You got to do this when you're up against a wall and you're playing this style of golf course." Really cool video. I'll be in the chat. You guys will all be in the chat. I think that we're going to get a lot of views on this one. I think this thing is going to exit our little community, and it's going to get into the real golf world where we may not have as much of a stranglehold on, like the people that got mad this weekend. That is the people that are going to really enjoy this video because it's golf. It's real golf. This is a lot of golf shit in this video.
Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time on our YouTube page, the Barstool Classic. So the Barstool Classic, we're going to have updates probably in the next couple weeks. We're working on booking the last venues, but to give you a rough outline of what to expect, 26 stops, top 4 teams from each will go to a 4-ish day championship at Pinehurst in November. So if you want to get ahead of the game, go ahead and maybe book, start looking at your off time, save a couple days for November. And we're going to be hitting 26 different stops, probably around somewhere between 15 and 20 different cities. We're going to double up in a few cities. So it's a massive undertaking, scheduling, booking, contracts, all of that, trying to schedule it around when we're filming, when we're covering major championships, and when we're doing what we do day in and day out. So we're working on it. We're going to have those updates very soon. I'm playing in the Waste Management Phoenix Open Pro-Am on Wednesday. I wanted to make a bigger deal out of this, but it's pretty much neutered because of COVID, which we all understand. It's a bit of a shame. There's no caddies. You got to ride. I think you have to ride in a cart with a divider, and you have to wear a mask whenever you're not hitting a golf ball. I don't think they're allowing very many fans, maybe a couple thousand total. So how many are actually around the 16th hole and whether that creates an environment for good footage. We'll kind of play it by ear in real time. I wanted to do a whole thing where what am I going to shoot? What am I going to make on 16? But again, it's been a little bit neutered. So I'm going to try to create and put out as much as I possibly can from that. But I just don't know exactly what the vibe's going to be yet. There will be obviously a shot on 16. We will record that, whether there's fans or it's just a pretty standard par 3 in the desert. We don't know yet, but we'll try to figure that out.
It is a real shame. COVID, obviously, it's been bad for everyone, but this part here, if you had said to Riggs and I when we first started this, what's the coolest thing? What's the coolest piece of content that you could get out of the golf world at this time if you're thinking about it? And it would be one of us hitting a tee shot on 16 with the crowd going crazy during the Pro-Am. Like we've all seen the videos from the past. Sometimes they have a robot out there who will hit a tee shot. People go crazy for that. But like that would have been as big as it gets, like on that stage in front of that crowd who is largely our crowd. That 16th hole is full of our fans. And to have one of us out there hitting a tee shot, like that would have been the mountaintop for this podcast at the beginning. And now you're getting the opportunity and it's just going to be so different.
It is. It's a little bit of a bummer. I'm gonna go out there, boys. I'm gonna put on my best. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. I'm gonna be smiling. I'm gonna be making friends. Everybody you see, so that we in the future get invited back.
Yes.
So that when this world has defeated the coronavirus and the world's a little bit more normal, we can get out there and do the damn thing. But regardless, I'll be there Wednesday. So pay attention to social, whatever's going on. I'm gonna try to capture as best as we can. There was a fuck counter. But a guy emailed my the Foreplay email account, and he said, I was counting the last show because you guys say it so often that Frankie said the word fuck 46 times, and I said it 27 times. And he wasn't rude about it. He just said, if you guys could try to not say it as much, maybe that would make the listener.
Did Lurch and I have none?
Maybe you just didn't register. Like you guys were earthquake below sort of the whatever meter where it just didn't register on their system.
Yeah.
So he didn't count you guys. No.
I got something to say to this guy.
I know where you're going to go.
Fuck you, bro. All right? Like, honestly, I know it. Like, I also say like too much. I noticed that every time I listen back to some shit, I'm saying the word like a lot. I'm trying to eliminate that, which I can't. I'm like a fucking sorority girl. Yeah, man, I definitely do drop the F-bomb a lot. It's just a crutch word, which is odd because, like, I don't usually. There's another like. I'm just gonna stop talking. I'll try.
26 isn't not, or 27 isn't. I say it a lot too. So it's a crutch word for me. Especially, I notice I say it when I'm really trying. When I'm close to forming my little phrase that I want to drop, but I'm not fully there.
Fucking.
It kind of buys me a little time. So yeah, we're working on it. We're trying to be as best an audio podcast as we can, but also if that's a large issue for you, you can go fuck yourself. That's
little kids listening to it. I don't know, man. It's a fucking Barstool podcast.
What do you think the youngest age is that listens to this podcast?
Is
that legitimately not like, oh, the dad's driving to work and there's any of the kids in the car? Like somebody goes to the Foreplay Spotify or iTunes and they say, I'm going to listen to this Tuesday or Thursday show.
12-year-old Pete for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think 8-year-old Blake, that Hawaiian kid, I feel like he knows inside stuff. Now, his parents do run his Instagram account.
Yeah.
I get like messages from them. So somewhere between 12-year-old Pete and 8-year-old Hawaiian Blake.
You guys are poisoning the youth.
Or Trent, we're toughening and preparing them for the real world.
Fuck.
Or this is what I would say is you're normalizing curse words, which I think should be a thing in society.
It's a word.
Like I wish broadcasters on, ESPN, CBS, all those guys, like Nick Faldo wanted to say as many curse words as he could on Saturday because he was furious at Patrick Reed.
Yeah.
He couldn't because he's on CBS. But I think we should normalize swearing to the point where you can say it on a sports broadcast.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but we're not there yet. And unfortunately, I think that would be an issue for people like 8-year-old Blake, maybe his parents. Then again, they are. I always kind of wonder it's very, it's a little bit contradictory, but I do wonder, are young kids that like our show, are their parents, are we supposed to look at their parents like, you shouldn't be letting them listen to what we do? Is that
dude, athletes say this all the time. They're not role models. They're fucking athletes. And if you think I'm going to roll my life like this, I'm going to think I'm some sort of role model for 8-year-old Blake that's sitting out there in Hawaii hitting chip shots, listening to Foreplay. Thanks for the download. Thanks for the listen. I hope that kid turns into a professional golfer because he's an unbelievable golfer on social media for 8 years old, however old he is. But if he can't hear the word fuck, this ain't the show for you, man. It's just you're not there yet. This is TVMA. I don't know what else to tell you, bro.
Yeah, you're that classic Charles Barkley Nike commercial. I am not a role model.
I'm a podcaster that looks really shitty, has bad complexion. I can't fucking do anything with my skin. I'm skinny, but I'm also fat. My face is getting big. I'm sorry. I'm not the person to look up to when it comes to anything in life.
Now it's just 8 Mile. Now we just turned it 8 Mile, but that's okay. The point is, I'm with you. We'll try a little bit, but not that hard because it's not that big of a deal. And if you don't like the F word, this probably isn't the show for you. We'll do our best. I saved Dartmouth Golf, so I don't want to get into the whole thing on this show because I want to have some of the folks from Dartmouth Golf. The coach reached out. A bunch of players from the team reached out. Crazy story. Global Golf Post posted the whole thing on, I think it was Thursday. And it's a wild story. I was bored on a flight from Atlanta to Phoenix, which is like a 4-hour flight. Read the story, had a very good friend submitted it to me. Like, you're going to love this story. Read it. So I'm on the flight, tweeted a couple things about it because I was very heated. It's a ridiculous story. I mean, we all at some level, high school, college, whatever, played, organized competitive sports. That's like your life. That's all you think about. That's what you dream about. You chat, text with the boys, with your crew. That's what you work towards. You have these visions of being better. And it's the same with with the Dartmouth Golf program. And they had like the most, one of the most, I think they're like the men's team and the women's team were number 1 or 2, and then number 4 in terms of like most diverse programs on all of campus. There's only like 8 people on the whole damn team between each team. So it's not like it's that many people. And they had 45 minutes notice before a Zoom call. And then they were told on that Zoom call with like the athletic director that their programs were just canceled. They were just gone. They're just discontinued, which is psychotic. They had all this work, and it was also the swimming and diving and like the lightweight crew. So there's 5 programs gone. Then the alumni crew from the golf. So it was like Friends of Dartmouth Golf. They came up with all these proposals, and they took the high road, and they're like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to allocate like millions of dollars for unrestricted financial aid, which means like Dartmouth, we're raising all this money and you can use it however you want. You can fund fucking academics. You can fund research. You can do whatever you would like to do. Help people get into school from foreign countries, like whatever you want to do. We just want the golf programs reinstated. Dartmouth said no. So eventually it gets to the Global Golf Post, who writes this article. So I started tweeting up a fucking storm about it. Less than 24 hours later, athletic director, who, by the way, I have to say, one of the best chirps I've ever heard. They called this guy. He's played at Williams. He played like football at Williams, which is D3. Dartmouth's D1. And everybody behind this guy's back called him D3 Sheehy, and they didn't like the guy. Oh, man.
That's tough.
Every time I read it, I laugh out loud. But anyways, this fucking guy, I couldn't tell if he like retired or whatnot, but he was the worst. He's like the villain in the story. Ultimately, the athletic program, literally the next morning, less than 24 hours later, contacts the players, the golfers, and announces that they're reinstating the 5 programs and that they're just back. So we are going to have, I want to get the full story because it's crazy. It's like they're on Zoom calls. They asked the guy, like, what do we have to do? What is the main reasoning that this actually, you cut our programs, not these other programs? And the answer was like, we can't tell you. And it was just crazy, the fucking story. There was one where this other alumnus donated $600,000 for a van, for like this awesome, like Dartmouth Golf van, because they travel all over like the Northeast to go to these tournaments and to go to practice. And then COVID hits and they never got to use the van. And now the van's just gone. Like nobody knows where the van is. So it's like this fucking alumnus who loves Dartmouth Golf. That's his donate. So now then he had like severed ties with the university and was like, fuck Dartmouth. So it's a wild story. Anyways, now they're back. They're all thrilled. I'm getting emails and DMs left and right from every member of the team. It's like, you're a hero around here. So we don't have to get into that right now. It's not that important. We'll get into it another show because I want to do it. It's due diligence.
Where's that van?
Where's that van? And you
Dude,
know what,
van
Riggs?
is so sick. I gotta send you guys a picture of the van.
Good on you, Riggs. Someone's got to look after these Ivy Leaguers. You know, it's good that someone has these Ivy Leaguers back for once in their life. A lot of bad things happen to these guys. It's good to stand up for those guys, and I'm proud of you.
Now, there's a misconception here that just because you go to an Ivy League school, all of a sudden you're like super wealthy. But these are just fucking freshmen and sophomores
it's just a
in college
joke.
who work their asses off their whole life.
I know.
They might come from nothing. A lot of them are from like Asian countries who got, and like they just get Dartmouth Golf cut out. So I get that optic, but
it was just a joke. I agree. It's fucking bullshit, especially if the money's there, it's getting allocated somewhere. How do you not just like allow these people to play the sport that they came there to play, the whole thing? I think it's good that it was saved. I think that whoever was wronging them has now been exposed, and that's a really good thing. I don't like the Sheehy guy. I'm glad that he's probably squirming in his little pants. D3 Sheehy is squirming. He lost. He's a loser, and that's a good win for the good guys.
Where's that van? Where's that van?
Where's that van? Someone needs to answer for that.
Wait till you see this fucking van. Okay. Oh, Lurch just
There's no way anyone conducts real business and any real money is spent from an actual consumer and a product standpoint with that background. There's no way that someone takes you seriously in the middle of a fucking Star Wars set. That's such that's a ridiculous set. How could real money be spent when you're in front of a J.J. Abrams version of the fucking Star Wars Galactical whatever? Like, it's crazy.
Dude, our founder just loves it. So
it's insanity.
Got all these backgrounds, and like during the virtual world, it's like a little, I don't know, office. But dude, I will say Axon is like thought to be like a thought leader in the space and super super involved. What? You can't listen to
a thought leader in the space. You're using words. Listen, I like Axon. I like Josh. I sometimes like you, and I like drones.
They also support Barstool.
Yeah, I like Axon. I just don't like the jargon.
Taser is one of the it is the presenting sponsor of Dave Portnoy's show.
Dude, Taser is a sick company. I actually got into a nice little debate with like friends about if tasers should be like people should be using tasers in everyday use, and like
Axon logo. I got my mask.
I think the answer is yes. Look at that thing. It's a sick logo.
It is a good logo.
It's like Zeus.
Wait, what was the question, Frank? Sorry.
No, I just think like if people should be like walking around with tasers in their back pocket, or women should be having them in their pocketbook, and I think the answer is yes. It's a really safe way to get like whatever's about to happen to you not happen to you. Like you're not fucking shooting someone in the head. You're like stunning them. You're getting them away. You have a chance to run. I think like every single girl in college campuses, and I mean, if they can make it for guys to be able to wear in their pockets, I don't know how small they are, but it's a good company, and there's a reason why it's exploding. Tasers are fucking rocket
I mean,
ship.
well, the number one is to law enforcement too. So it offers a less lethal way to potentially engage, which is massive.
Love law enforcement, huge fan.
But let's talk about virtual reality training and the drone side of the house, because that's what I care about.
The drones are what keeps the lights on.
You said a thought leader in the space.
Yeah, you said thought leader in space.
Dude,
but
Rick, the CEO, Rick is though. I mean, like people look at him like he's Dave Portnoy of that world. Like he is above him. He gets people so fired up about.
Does he?
He's a big swinging doing tech or something. Don't say he's a thought leader in the space. That's I just read a banner when I walked into a fucking convention and I want to kill myself.
Does he do keynote speeches? Like does he go up there with a clicker?
He does. So get ready for this. He did the last one virtually. So they paid for like somebody to walk around in this suit, but then it had an iPad to walk around, and the iPad was Rick's face, and he did it somewhere else. It was so good.
What's this guy's name?
Rick Smith.
Like that.
That's sus.
I'm into that. The iPad, the fake body walking around like it's him with his iPad as his fucking head is awesome. I'm into that.
It's incredible.
This guy's fit.
Oh, Rick's
he's the real deal. He's the real deal.
I do like that we're now talking about our buddy like Josh's like CEO and his company and Lurch's company. We love Axon. This isn't even an ad read. We're just Axon Taser. They're great. It's just funny and very anti what we do when you appear in a spaceship when we're trying to do our show.
Totally agree. I mean, I change it out every time because I try to avoid like that Frankie comment where he just goes berserk over like a little detail that actually no one, since it's an audio podcast, really sees.
Or on YouTube. It's a really good platform.
I know we are too, Frankie. God, you're such a little nitpicker. For the amount that you hate like nitpickers and getting it rules, you are that person. I'm
a flip-flopper. I'm a roller coaster, bro. I have no backbone.
It's just no, I get it's weird to talk golf when you're spinning around the Millennium Falcon and we're trying to talk about like, Patrick Reed's rule.
I'm just genuinely curious that real life business is conducted like it's Mickey Mouse land. Like I just can't like real money and like how can anyone take you seriously talking about selling these drones to police departments? Like they're gonna be like, dude, can you just get on that little spaceship you're on? Like what's going on here? But
perfect timing. We're just about to get into Mr. Patrick Reed and things that occurred at Torrey Pines golf course out near the San Diego, California area. Before we do that, Bose Sport earbuds are designed to deliver lifelike audio in a comfortably secure fit. These things are amazing. These things, I don't go anywhere without these. I don't go anywhere without my Bose headphones. This is what Patrick Mahomes uses. He's about to probably win another Super Bowl. These things are fantastic. I don't go on any flight without these things. I don't do any show. I do nothing without these things. I don't know what planet you're living on if you're not using your Bose earbuds. You guys have got these. Do you guys like these as much as I do?
Talking about a thought leader. What is it? A thought leader in the space? Is that what it is?
Bingo. Yeah,
That's how I feel about Bose and their headphones. They are, but like I don't even know any other headphone companies. They're just that good.
No, they're a thought leader. They're a thought leader in the earpiece. Is that what is the aggregate name? Is it just headphones? Is it earpiece?
It's probably headphones.
Earbuds?
I would say actually they're a thought leader in the speaker space.
Yes.
Their speakers, their sound is second to none.
Whoa! I just can't. Something really got stuck in there, and holy shit, dude! I hope that came through on the mic because that
an army of plastic soldiers fighting your.
There's a Bose store at the Roosevelt Field Mall, which is one of the biggest malls I think in the country. It's here on Long Island. It's just a massive mall. I don't know if I just said that because it's my mall, but it's a huge fucking mall. And they have a Bose store there. And I would say that constitutes as a leader in the sound space, not just speaker. I think it's sound. They have just ways of watching movies. And you don't even see these things. I mean, they have these like showrooms that you sit down and they put a movie on. Usually it's Avatar, right? I feel like that's a go-to movie to show the sound space. And they say, just listen to this. And you can't believe you're submerged in that reality. There's things happening to your right, your left. Now they've perfected that type of sound in headphones and that go around you and you can listen to your music. The new Foo Fighters album's coming out February 5th. I want my Bose headphones to completely submerge me into that Foo Fighters world. Do you know what I mean? They've just gotten it. They've done it the correct way.
So if you would like to know who a Bose athlete is, the answer is Patrick Mahomes. If you would like to be like Patrick Mahomes, go to bose.com/barstool to buy your own Bose Sport earbuds. Okay. Torrey Pines this past weekend. Patrick Reed wins by 5. He takes home $1.35 million. It is his 9th win on the PGA Tour. He, of course, has proven himself as a USA Ryder Cup menace to the European team. He's shushing people. He's raising the roof. He's holing out from fairways. He also is your 2018 Masters champion. He declared himself 6 years or so ago now a top 5 player in the world when people didn't know who the fuck he was. And now he has emerged this past weekend as probably a Bryson level to me. Bryson level, and I did a little Frankie right there with my voice. It felt kind of good. I would say a Bryson level compelling story anytime he is in the news and you start, and I would describe it like this. Anytime I'm scrolling through Twitter and there's a golf tournament going on and all of a sudden Patrick Reed's name starts flying around all over the place, it is instantly turn on your television, figure out what the fuck's going on, watch the video that people are breaking down, see all of golf Twitter, all of sports Twitter's reaction, and try to understand what's going on with Patrick Reed. It all began this past Saturday on the 10th hole at Torrey Pines South Course. It included the rules infraction potentially that people were going nuts about, that were losing their minds about, that were screaming cheater. It involved Use Golf Facts, one of the best Twitter accounts ever created, which is, of course, Justine Reed. It was maybe 99.9% confirmed. Now it's 100% confirmed because not only did Use Golf Facts get in the mix and tweet in all caps about 10 to 15 times, Rory McIlroy did the same thing today on hole 18, picked up his ball, cleaned and everything, and didn't even call a rules official over to deem the ball embedded, end of story, but tweeted that in a classic Dave Portnoy move from Patrick Reed's official account on accident. So this story then
kept it on her own account.
Then kept it. None of it's been deleted. Then the next morning, another video emerges about Rory. So we're going to break all that down in detail. But boys, I have to say, I think we haven't really talked Patrick Reed in a long time, and it feels good. But the Reeds just bring the heat when it comes to drama in the golf world like probably nobody else right now.
We're talking about leaders in the space, and we're talking about Bose, and we're talking about Axon and all these companies. this family, the Reed family, is a leader in the content space, the on course within a professional sports arena space. They just drum up a lot of content, a lot of controversy, and they really don't do much like to really like ignite it. It's something that's so simple as like a face that he makes or a piece of sand that he grazes. Something about Patrick Reed just gets people really angry, riled up. And I know the answer is that he cheats and stuff and bends the rules and all that stuff. But a lot of people bend rules and they find themselves in situations where they cheat or do whatever. They learn from their mistakes. They move on. The whole world accepts it. For some reason, with Patrick Reed, he either doesn't learn from his mistake. This is my whole take on it. He either doesn't learn from his mistake. He has the yips because so many people won't let him like off the hook that this is his being. This is his whole reason for being on this earth, is to cheat the game of golf and the integrity of the rules and the good people of Scotland that they all walked the hills and the prairies and the whole thing. And they learned this great game of golf and he is disrespecting them and pissing on their graves. They won't let him out of that circle. So he can't avoid himself. I think I'm leaning towards that part, that Patrick Reed can't get out of his own way. He falls into controversy even when he doesn't want to be in it.
Right. That's the fascinating part. And Riggs, you compared Patrick Reed to Bryson DeChambeau, and the difference between the two of them is Bryson lights those fires on purpose. Patrick Reed, he just sort of exists, and the way that he is and the way that Justine is, it may not happen as often as Bryson because Bryson does it on purpose, but when you get a Patrick Reed controversy, there's really nothing sweeter. And we can get into the specifics on whether we think he cheated, what we think actually happened. Obviously, the Rory stuff becomes very interesting when you intertwine it with the Patrick Reed stuff. But just the Patrick Reed experience and everything that comes along with that, which very much includes Justine Reed and used golf facts, like their controversies are better than the Bryson DeChambeau ones because they're genuine and they come out of nowhere and they just light the world on fire and everything around them.
Lurchy?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are all spot on. I mean, I think that if I was going to boil down Trent's favorite golfer, since he's a storyline guy, I mean, it might have to be Patrick Reed at the top, because when it goes off and when he's under the spotlight, there's maybe no better storyline than P. Reed and used golf facts, because they are, if you're going to say controversy and Patrick Reed, you have to include used golf facts, because she is at the core of moving the social world when she jumps on. I mean, her tweets are laugh out loud funny. She's so unapologetic, and it was great to watch. I mean, I will say on the backside of that, there was no person more caught in the crosshairs than Victor Hovland when he picked up his ball late in the day on Sunday, and when he dropped it, it kept rolling into the hazard, and then he tried to place it, rolled over. When he plucked it up and looked around, was like, did I screw up too? Like, that looked like a guy that knew about everything that was going on.
Let's actually get into this, though, because I know we say on this show a lot, and I am a headlines guy. I love Patrick Reed in that regard, where just you don't know what's going to happen. Justine Reed used golf facts. But let's actually get into specifics, because I think people will want to know, like, yes, we love storylines. We are on a golf podcast. This storylines drive this thing. And the more controversy and the more headlines there are, regardless, negative, positive, that's a good thing for us because we have something to talk about. But I do want to get more into the specifics about, do we think Patrick Reed cheated? What do we think happened if he didn't cheat? And then let's also talk about the Rory thing, because yes, we're storyline guys, but I do think people want to know what we think actually happened.
Yeah. So let's set the table here real quick. First, golf is clearly an extremely unique game in that it's self-policed, that, 90% of the time golfers are out there in competitive golf, even on the PGA Tour, and really nobody's watching. They're not really on camera. You can't watch every second. You don't have a ref necessarily like you do in football or hockey who's supposed to be watching the puck at every second. They can call over a rules official, but again, minute by minute, decisions are just being made on the golf course that have to be up to the honor system, because once that breaks, the whole system breaks down, and you're going to have like, laser measurements all over the course to understand if people are ever breaking rules or not. You can't do that. It's not feasible. So it's based on the honor system. In football, somebody might get tackled. Once they're down, they're clearly down. They might stretch the ball out and try to get a couple extra yards so they get a favorable spot from the ref. That's fine in football because that's a different game. That's what it's measured by. That's the spirit of the game. It's fine. Everybody accepts it. In golf, that ain't the fucking case. In golf, you try to gain an illegal advantage, you are deemed a cheater, and you are chastised in the entire golf world forever. Vijay Singh in 1985, playing on like the Asian Tour, was accused of cheating, and everybody to this day looks at Vijay Singh, especially like, woke golf, all those people, as a cheater. He can just never shake that label. So you have Patrick Reed, who has a long history of this going back to in college. Reed led Augusta State to 2 NCAA Division I national titles in 2010 and 2011. He started at Georgia, and he got kicked off of the team because he was accused of cheating and stealing from his teammates. He, out on the PGA Tour, Peter Costas has accused Patrick Reed. He said 3 or 4 times now he has seen Patrick Reed improve his lie, usually by taking 3 or 4 different clubs, trying to act like he's deciding what he's trying to do out there. Is he going to hit a 9-iron? Is he going to hit a 4-iron? Is he going to hit a 3-wood? Next thing you know, his ball went from in a hole to fluffed up on the top, and he rips a 3-wood onto the green from 250 yards. He obviously, at the 2019 Hero World Challenge, had the incident where his ball's in a shit lie in the bunker. He's scooping behind it with the fucking club. Sand disappears, and all of a sudden, Patrick Reed's got a great lie. People were throwing shovels at him, yelling cheater at the at Kapalua the couple months later. He got roasted, led to Kessler Corain trying to punch a guy in the crowd in Australia because things got so heated. Fast forward now, here we are, Torrey Pines. Patrick Reed, top 10 player in the world, playing great. He's in the final group. He's in the lead. Hits a bunker shot on the 10th hole left. He can't see it over the lip. His playing partners, he goes over to find in the rough, says to the volunteer who's right there, did it bounce? Volunteer says, no, I didn't see it bounce. No. Patrick Reed goes, okay. And then he says to his playing partners, hey, I'm going to check and see if this thing's embedded, which, by the way, is very normal practice. They were playing lift, clean, in place a couple days, I believe, at least in the fairways, and then it's soggy everywhere. So it's actually pretty natural. A lot of people were curious about this. Like, why did he lift his ball? You can never move your ball. You have to play it as it lies. That's actually not true. A competition, especially, he marked his ball. He lifted it out of the ground. Now, you're not able to right then change the condition of the ball, aka you can't clean it. Like if it's got mud all over it, whatever, it hasn't been deemed embedded yet. So he's holding the ball. People were upset that it looked like he put it in his palm at the time.
Brandel, you're saying Brandel was upset. Brandel was so mad about the palming of the ball, and I can't say one way or the other. But Brandel on the Golf Channel broadcast was like, I've never seen somebody palm a ball like that. He could be cleaning it. I'm not saying Brandel's wrong. I'm just saying that was a big sticking point for Brandel, where usually if you're going to pick up a ball like that, you hold it with 2 fingers and you put it down almost immediately, where Patrick Reed held it, put it in his palm, and Brandel seemed to be worried that he was cleaning off anything that might have been on it.
Yes. So Reed, he removes the ball to check the ground. Clearly, if there's a lip, if there's an indentation that's obviously identifiable, the ball was embedded. If a ball is embedded in its own pitch mark, you then get a club length and you get to clean it and you drop it because you can't play from an embedded length. That's just the rule. And that rule was enacted several times throughout the week, including later that same day on the 18th hole, or maybe it was earlier that day. I don't know the exact time, but when Rory McIlroy came through. That wasn't in the exact moment relevant. It will become relevant very soon. So Patrick Reed then takes the ball out. He says, yeah, I see an indentation. He felt around a little bit as he was going through this process. Now it looked like, is he trying to get the ball out cleanly? Is he changing it? Like what's going on in there? Nobody knew at the time. Anyways, he sets the ball to the side, which again, usually you just kind of put it back. He then summons over the rules official. He says, I just want to double check. I don't want to do anything wrong. This is what happened. I was told it didn't bounce. I went to check, which again, you don't have to have a rules official to check. Rory McIlroy didn't have a rules official when he checked. He then pulls the ball out again, tells the rules official what happened. The rules official right away goes like, oh, the ball's not like, where's the ball? He's like, oh, I took it out and set it down. The rules official, you can tell, is a little bit like, okay, that's a little bit of a weird move. checks. And again, there was a tee in the ground. You couldn't see the tee on the footage because the grass was too high. But at one point, if you really pay attention, when Reed then goes to show the rules official where the ball was, there's a tee right there. And he actually pulls the tee out of the ground. So he had marked it. It was the same spot in theory. So he then, the rules official's like, yep, that's a lip. That's embedded. Reed takes his drop. Rules official says, fine. Well, footage goes out. Golf Twitter loses its fucking mind. Everybody's screaming cheater. And they're screaming that because footage showed from the replay that his ball actually did bounce. So a ball, clearly everybody can comprehend, a ball coming from the sky, from an iron or from a driver or whatever, can obviously plug. It can embed in the ground, especially when it's wet. A ball that bounces once and then enters the ground from like 2 or 3 feet off the ground ain't going to plug. That's just like it's just not possible. Doesn't have enough force. Literally, it's the same thing as dropping the ball by the new rules from like knee height. That's not going to plug into the ground and create an indentation in the ground.
Right.
So everyone's like, well, how the hell could there possibly have been an indentation in the ground if the ball bounced, which we all saw in the footage that it did bounce? So people putting all those facts together immediately crucified Patrick Reed as a ruthless cheater. Brandon went on Golf Channel. Our friend Eamon Lynch wrote a whole blog about it. People were talking about gambling and about how gambling is going to be affected. A sports book actually did refund every bettor on golf who did not bet on Patrick Reed to win outright. They refunded all bets. So clearly it was an issue. That's what happened on Saturday. Patrick Reed was confronted about it afterwards, said, look, I did everything by the book. I talked to the rules official. Maybe I should have put the ball right back, but like, I don't even know if he said that. Maybe he should have put the ball right back, but ultimately he didn't do anything technically wrong. He marked his ball. He checked it. He determined that it was embedded. He asked a rules official to confirm that it was embedded. The rules official did confirm that it was embedded. He was told by the volunteer standing there that the ball did not bounce. So he had every reason to, based on these facts, assume that it was embedded on its own mark. And therefore he took a drop, ends up getting up and down, makes par, goes on, of course, a couple days later to win the tournament by 5 shots. So on those facts alone, before we get into the Rory stuff, general thoughts from the crew.
Well, first, during one of his post-round interviews, he did admit after seeing the video that there's no way a ball could embed after it bounces, which I thought was a very interesting answer from him. Where do you start? Like, what do I think actually happened? If the question is, do I think Patrick Reed bent the rules and what's he doing in between picking up the ball and like when he's putting his finger in that hole, what's he doing in there? That would be like, I don't know. It's
his brain. What do you mean in there? What are you talking about?
So when he
physically, what's he doing to the ball? Because the ball, like we all agree, the ball couldn't have embedded itself. It bounced.
Well, so it was soaking wet that like maybe that ground was crazy soft and it could have embedded slightly. Like if with all the rain this past week, like there's a chance that it still could have. Coming out of the bunker, probably got a ton of spin on it. It could have potentially, but yeah, I would say probably not. You know, I mean, like if I was going to be honest, I would say probably not.
I think most people would say like 0.0000001% chance that could happen. Yeah. And that again, and this is just going based solely off of what everyone saw Saturday. And one of the things that I tweeted was like, you clearly in golf, you can't, it's like everybody's innocent until proven guilty, right? So in theory, like that could have been an old pitch mark that his ball ended up in, which is just crazy unlucky for the standard. But like, if it could have happened and the rules official was there and determined that there was a lip, then like you can't penalize the guy. You can't DQ the guy. So, right. but trying to decipher and think about like what kind of like he could have because again, his fingers were finagling around in that ground.
They were.
More so than necessary. Now, does that immediately incriminate someone? No, of course not. But when you have the track record that we just went through, and you have a guy putting his little fucking fingers in the rough, and then all of a sudden a ball that most of us agree physically couldn't have embedded is embedded, you wonder, did he push the ball into the ground to create an embedded vibe? Did he, after picking it up, did he, push his fingers into the ground to create a little bit of a lip? What did he actually just like? Did his ball end up rolling into an old pitch mark? Did it somehow, like Lurch's theory, like just create an embedded like ball? What happened? Nobody knows what could have happened.
No, I mean, we're going off probability for sure. I mean, like, I think OJ told a story where he found his ball in the trees teed up. Like, yeah, I mean, I would call him like, you're probably cheating, but like, again, you can't prove it.
OJ doesn't have the best track record.
No, he doesn't. So I guess that's
all the names to throw out.
I felt my stomach sink to my balls when you said OJ. I did not know where the comparison was going.
There's a story
in an argument about
where he found his ball in the trees and it was teed up for him, and he told his playing partners, no, that's just how he found it, which is absurd on 30,000 levels. I think, and I put this on my story, I just think Patrick Reed's biggest problem was you got to go in like, you got to try to deal in 100%. So like, if you think there's a chance that it wasn't embedded, you certainly, in my eyes, cannot pick up the ball, move it, and then ask the rules official to come over and be like, yeah, you feel that embedded mark? Like, no, you're going to lose people's trust when you do it that way. If Reed just simply said, my ball's embedded, hey guys, you mind if I drop, whatever drops, nobody's going to think anything of it. But
wait, what do you mean? Wait, what?
So I think if Reed says my ball's embedded, drops it, on they go.
But one thing that's like, in order to check if it's embedded, you have to lift it.
You can really see, like, I feel like a good
ball
chance.
is in like this much rough.
I know.
You don't know unless you lift it. Rory did the same thing. You have to lift it to check.
All right, so you lift it, but like, yeah, I guess my thought is him bringing over the rules official after was the point where I was like, dude, nobody's going to like, this is so weird. Nobody's going to trust this now. If he just said like, no, 100%, it was embedded. I picked it up, dropped it, and on we went. I don't think there's a big stir. But the fact that he brings it over the rules official after, there's really nothing for the rules official to check in that very moment. Like the ball's not even in the same spot. Like what is he like feeling for in the rough? There's just nothing there. That's where I'm starting to think like, does he have like a guilty conscience, or is now he trying to make good because he knows the cameras are on him? Like that's where I get wishy-washy with the whole experience.
Well, what I would say is like if a ball embedded and made an indentation that you can clearly determine your ball was embedded, that's not going to disappear. So like before he checked, he put a tee down right next to it, lifts his ball. Then he says to the rules official coming over here, so the rules official can just feel if there was like an indentation or not. So like that to me isn't sketchy. What's sketchy is if you're going to call the rules official over, you should just put the ball back into the embedded spot and be like, this was the exact situation that I arrived to. What do I do? And instead of that, the weird part is calling the rules official over while already having removed the ball and set it. It's like, no, if you've already made the determination in your head, which you have because you literally moved the ball, then why would you need to bring a rules official over? So that part was bizarre. And I mean, it happens pretty quickly, right? And like, maybe it just wasn't until like, and again, Rory did the same thing, which we're going to get to, which happened without a rules official. Rory marked it. He checked it. He then moved it a club length and continued on. And that was it. So what's really killing Reed is obviously he doesn't have the benefit of the doubt from people because of his track record. And there was just enough from the footage sketchiness going on of like, what are your fingers doing in the rough? Why are you palming the ball? Shout out Brandel. Why did you then just like place it over by your bag on the grass instead of putting it immediately like right back in the spot where it was when you walked up? So those things immediately just make it, with Patrick Reed's background, a little sketchy.
I have a couple thoughts on it. So do I hate the rules of golf? Yes. Like I've always said that. I think the fact that we play a game in which Patrick Reed did everything by the book that day, and we still are able to have these conversations, like it is a game of honor. I understand like all this stuff that you can't police it the way you police a hockey game, football game, baseball game. There's not these white lines that go from home plate to the foul line and then the whole thing. And like, it is out of bounds or it isn't. Someone has to police themselves. Do I think Patrick Reed deserves the benefit of the doubt out? Probably not at this point. Like, this guy just refuses to learn from his mistakes, and he finds himself in these situations where, like, dude, like, you can't correct the past. You can only keep moving forward. And, like, when you know that you are known as this guy, you have to take extreme caution in every single situation. It sucks. You are in a different position than everyone else on tour. That is not fair, but it's also the bed that you've made yourself, and you have to then sleep in it. Like because he's never once shown remorse for it, ever. Every single time he's ever gotten caught for doing this, he's been like, no, I didn't. Like, well, it's like on TV that you took the sandbag, and he's like, no, I didn't. Like, you can't say no. Like, say okay. Dude, people like Brandel and Eamon and all these people have been like, if he would just say I'm sorry, no one would give a fuck. Like, oh, fuck. Like, I kind of like fucked up here, guys. Like, well, let's just move on. I'm never going to do, like, he never once does that. Like, even in his post presser with Balionis, he's like, he's got that Patrick Reed smile and his teeth are together and he's like breathing in through his closed teeth. And he's like, everything about him just like, oh, I don't like this guy on TV right now. So everything he says, I don't believe. I think I take all that into account. And then I see the situation that unfolded on TV with his fingers in there. And I do think he's a guy that was like trying to do it by the rule. Like, I think he like knew the way to do it with the tee, to reach in, tell his partners. I thought what everyone saw on that elongated scene that they finally tweeted out, like the PGA Tour, everyone was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the proof he's done. I thought that actually helped him a little bit more than the short snippet of stuff that we originally saw, because he literally asked the person who was standing 3 feet away, like, did this thing bounce? That lady's out to lunch. She's like, no, like, you're wrong. Like, you're the most wrong person in this whole scenario. That lady is just like out to lunch. Like, what is she doing? The volunteer. Hate to hate on the volunteer, but thanks for your time and effort, but like, come back next year with like just a new set of eyes. Like, it bounced right in front of you. He did everything by the book, and then he just got weird, and I think that's who he is. He's got the yips with it. He's like midway through that scenario, I genuinely think Patrick Reed's like, fuck, like, I'm in a situation here where someone may find this weird. Let me get this rule official over. The guy's like, where's the ball? He's like, it's over here. It's just a very weird scenario. It almost feels like a guy that's like trying to say he's not drunk, but he's like a little drunk. He just like was stumbling, like, the ball's over here. It was just very weird. I don't think Patrick Reed like actively tries to cheat his way to championships and wins. I just think he finds himself in fucked up situations. And then when he does do the wrong thing, he never admits it. And that's why he's an asshole. He's just an asshole in that aspect. Like, dude, there's just many, many times where you found yourself in weird, ridiculous, 1 out of a billion chance scenarios where you probably feel like the world is out to get you, Patrick Reed. And it is because you won't give the world that sliver of just like humbleness and humanity that they want. They just want to see you be like, fuck, like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, give me 2 strokes here, whatever. Let's just move on.
Do you think the bunker incident was like, do you think he cheated then?
I don't like, dude, you can only take the guy's word for what he says. He's like, I didn't try and improve my lie there. Like, he says it. Like, what are you like? It's a game in which you have to just accept what the person says, right? That's why I have a problem with the rules of golf. You have to just accept what he says.
That is the
most. But here's what I'm saying though, is Frankie, you're not a rules official. You don't have to accept what he says. Like, you can just watch it and determine whatever you want. And so like my issue a little bit on that is like, I think like the bunker incident is pretty cut and dry to me. It's like he literally put his club right behind and just removed the sand.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So to me, that's just cheating.
So Riggs, you think he cheated? Do you think he knowingly cheated?
In the bunker incident?
Yes.
I think it's bizarre in that in his brain, I think he does justify it, but in reality, looking at it objectively, he cheated. But I genuinely don't think he thinks he cheated.
So at that point, like,
I'm with you on that. Like, I think, and this is going to,
as his defense attorney, then can't you like
I'm
if
glad
you're
you
on-
cut me off there.
Sorry, if
No,
you're
no,
on
no,
Patrick,
I'm happy because I was going to go down somewhere.
okay, good. If you're on Patrick Reed's defense like team, like can't you be like, well, this game is like these rules are enacted on you actually implying that you're trying to gain an advantage, and if you genuinely think that in his brain he did not try to gain an advantage and he did not try and cheat his way out of that bunker, then you cannot say that he cheated the rules of golf.
Well, that seems
the way the rules of golf are written, he did not knowingly and willingly try and move that piece of sand. I think the rules of golf are fucking stupid. There's too many of these loose ends, and we make too many of these rules up based off what people want to do and what they tried to do. I think there needs to be more cut and dry somehow, some way. If you can't get that, then you can't get mad at a dude lifting the fucking ball out of the ground. If you cannot get the rules to a point in which we have cut and dry rules, you can't touch it in this scenario because of this, then you can't get mad when a guy fucking bends the rules. He's going to be an asshole. That's just how he's been his whole career, his whole life. That's just how he is. Like, that's the rules of golf. And I don't agree with Patrick Reed. I just am sick and tired of everyone getting so like holier than thou when you're like, well, you shouldn't know that part of the rule, you can't do this. Make it the rule then.
Hold on. So I think everybody's got to comment on that. I think the one thing though, to like Riggs's point is, so yeah, objectively, I think he cheated. And then where it gets wishy-washy in golf is like, does that person like know about it? They're going to call it on themselves. And so that's where it's like really interesting for me about Patrick Reed and his mindset potentially, because whether he knowingly did it or not, like I do agree with Riggs in the fact that his justification in his own brain is wildly different than others. Yeah. And I think that is like the biggest delta or difference between him and like, you know, the rest of us in the world that are like, no, I mean, like you saw me in the bunker. Like I don't know if I was like off in left field here, but like, yeah, you got me.
I have a question.
Like that's cheating.
I'm raising my hand, like, because we're brushing right over what I said, and I feel like you disagreed with what I said, Lurch, about the rule. What this rule is for 120 people in the world. Why can't you just say you cannot touch the golf ball ever until a rules official gets over there? It's not that difficult to get the guy over there. It took him 2 minutes on a golf cart to get there. He ended up needing to come over anyway. So like, why is there this rule where it's like okay for a guy to check it on his own, and it's like, well, it's because like common practice.
The rule isn't just for 100. That rule's for everyone that's ever played golf ever. Like that's for.
No, I know, but like to enact, like it would be easier to enact that rule in black and white for the guys that are playing in a tournament, so that never happens again. Because he's clearly gaining an edge on other people, and that's why people are getting mad. So like, just in that rule forever.
But what I would say where it gets tricky, right, is then the other edge of it is like everyone bitches about pace of play. So now it's like anytime someone has a lie in the rough, they're going to wait and call the rules official over. It's like, so it gets like, that's like the reason that they're so nitpicky with the rules is because typically they don't have rules official everywhere and they don't want to. They don't want to like have to stop play all the time to get a rules official every lie. So it gets dicey. And like to defend golf a little bit, like every sport has fucking rules and people, we don't know what a catch is in football. We still don't know what a catch is in football. People bitch about it every fucking week, or they bitch about the touchback rule with a fumble. And it's like every sport has really dumb rules that people lose their fucking minds over. Offsides, like people freak out. The crease rule in the NHL forever. Like Brett Hull scored a goal that won a fucking Stanley Cup by a rule that everyone thought sucked and nobody liked. So like there's in what's infuriating, I think, and what we haven't necessarily said yet is that like, and what everyone's sort of combining to allude to is that at this point, it ain't Patrick Reed's fault. At this point, it's the tour and it's the rules and it's somebody. And Xander Schauffele himself came out and said, like, obviously the talk amongst the boys isn't great, I guess, but he's protected by the tour and that's all that matters, I guess. So there's this overwhelming thing of the PGA Tour doesn't want this guy that's clearly going to has become one of their top players to be known as like a cheater. So they are not enforcing the rules and no one's really enforcing the rules in a case where clearly a guy has shown that he's going to try to get away with them and gain an advantage when he can. And at this point, and this is sort of why my whole stance publicly has been like, if you're not rooting for Patrick Reed to be in contention and win tournaments, then you don't like entertainment because I'm not saying his integrity. I'm not saying I want him to be my best friend. I'm not saying that like, if I wasn't in the field, I wouldn't fucking despise the guy. I would. But as a person who turns on my television, what Patrick Reed is doing and his ability to, in the moments when he is most hated, when there's all this controversy going on, when everybody else would collapse because social media, every fucking article about him is roasting him, calling him a cheater. And then he goes out on Sunday, has the best round of anyone in contention and wins by 5. It's like the guy, in some ways, it's like he wants to create his own controversy so that he then can go out. It's like when Michael Jordan would make up that people said shit about him so that he would be all fucking furious and go out and put up 60 points because he almost like creates his own negative publicity so that he then can rally around himself and go win. It's crazy town.
There's a couple people I really hate in this scenario. One of them's the person that is the defender of the rules shield, who's sitting home watching this golf and is legitimately so mad that the integrity of the PGA Tour has been ripped to shreds by this Patrick Reed fella. Meanwhile, and the only reason I really hate that person is because the people that actually are defending the shield and honor of the PGA Tour don't care as much as you, clearly, because they're letting this guy get to the point where he can win the golf tournament without any strokes taken away from him, and they felt that what he did that day was perfectly fine. Yes, it was. Yes, it's the controversy, and yes, it sparked Twitter outrage. But like, they're just fucking fine with it. They're like, you guys get mad on your own, and that's something that Xander Schauffele's pissed about. He's like, he's protected by the tour. The other person that I hate is this one tweet was like, how many Monday qualifiers did this guy play in? How often has this happened? How far does this go? How deep does this go? Like a tinfoil hat dude. Like, the guy went out and won the fucking tournament. Like, if you're going to start telling me that Patrick Reed isn't this world-class, incredible golfer and he's gotten to this level and won Monday qualifiers and advanced his professional career because he's improved his lie a couple times, there's no way that that's the only reason why Patrick Reed is a fucking Masters champion and Ryder Cup US Open, Ryder Cup United States hero. Like, this dude's a fucking player. I just think he has the gifts. I think he's an asshole, and I want that on record. He refuses to admit when he is wrong. I hate that part of him. I think Patrick Reed's a smug piece of shit that we've all encountered when we've played certain like country club-esque guys and like these like holier than thou, I don't do anything wrong. Like, dude, you're doing a lot of shit. That's why you're in all these problems. Let's just fucking reset Patrick. Like, let's fucking become a human being for a second. He refuses to. He's a villain, and that's why I almost kind of love him. He is a Marvel villain that refuses to admit when he does anything wrong, and no one can do anything about it because the world refuses to tell him that you've been punished. So who gives a fuck at that point? Like, let's just go along for the ride.
Right. No, I definitely wouldn't change anything about Patrick Reed.
You can't.
I would not do that. The only person who got thrown into the fire faster than that volunteer was Ken Tackett. They had brought him in as like the TV rules official. I think the broadcast, the CBS broadcast started at 3. They introduced him at 3:15. The Patrick Reed thing started at like 3:18, and they were like, "All right, Jim Nantz, like, all right, we're gonna bring in Ken Tackett. Like, what do you see here?" And like, he's thinking, "I'm just gonna have a normal day as my first TV broadcast. This will be fine." And he gets thrown into easily the biggest rules controversy of the year for sure.
Dude, I saw his name all over Twitter. I was surprised he wasn't trending at some point. That poor fucking guy. Like you said, Trent, first day in the job, you got your new fucking notebook and pens. You're a little excited, a little nervous, and it's just, all right, Ken, 2 seconds in. What do you see here, buddy? We're going to break this down for the next 2 years everywhere you go. So that whole part of it. And then on top of that, not only, Frankie, you're right that we have this Marvel villain, but the Marvel villain comes with a wife who tweets in all caps using a burner account on Twitter and then accidentally slips and tweets from the account that she clearly runs, which is the Patrick Reed official account, the same one that tweeted like, at PGA Tour, I can't believe you gave me and my wife seats like right down the line of the game. We paid $650. We got the same seats as these other schmucks that haven't won as many times we have on tour. Like, that's the same person, 100% confirmation, which is laugh out loud funny. This is the same account, by the way, that like goes after Justin Thomas all the time, and that then was going after Rory McIlroy. And at the time, and tweeted it like 15 times, just copy paste, the same tweet, like 50 times. Which, by the way, she turned out to be fucking spot on because they're talking about, they're like highlighting these tweets a little bit. The network coverage doesn't know if they should touch that. Like, There's this burner account that's clearly Patrick Reed's wife, but we don't know if it's Patrick Reed's wife. And then the video finally comes out Sunday morning, and it shows Rory hits a layup, and it's the exact same scenario. Now, no, did Rory like palm his ball, and did Rory move his ball a club length away before he ever actually made a ruling? Like, no. Did Rory's ball bounce straight up and come back into his own pitch mark? After you really look at it, it looks like there's a decent chance that it did that. But overall, in the similar, like everyone had said that the bullet, like the evidence is that the ball did not bounce, and Patrick Reed was basing his decision on that it bounced, and there's no way with physics that it could possibly plug after bouncing. And then Rory McIlroy, the game's most beloved figure, he's candid, everybody loves him, he's so honest, he's Rory McIlroy. He's about the very next morning, footage comes out that he did, for all intents and purposes, the same fucking thing, and it really put people in a blender in terms of what they were going to say. Flowers, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking flowers. I got to tell you, the Books. We could read the ad copy. That'd be cute and great. But we are actually just talking about these flowers, man. When they come, they will blow your socks off. I'm not necessarily a big plant guy. I'm not a big botanist. I'm not a botanist.
Botanist, agronomist, the whole deal.
You don't have a green thumb?
No. I got fucking the whitest Caucasian thumb you ever seen in your whole life. These Books. These things came, and I mean, we get stuff. We do ad reads. We talk about. I opened these flowers. Said, "Holy shit!" I started sending pictures to my mom. So Valentine's Day's coming up.
If you're on YouTube, you could see them in the background. I don't know if these ads play on YouTube, but you can see them in the background of Riggs's setup.
And those puppies have been here. They were in a fucking mailroom for 5 days because I was at Pinehurst. They came the same exact time. These things, they popped out. They said, you know what, Riggs? We want to emerge. We want to showcase. We want to flaunt in your apartment. So they've been grinding. I can't even imagine what they looked like on day one when they arrived at my apartment when I was supposed to get them. But Books, those guys do not mess around.
I don't know what the green thumb people think of when it comes to like artificial like enhancements with flowers. I don't know if it's like the MLB Writers Association that picks people to get into the Hall of Fame. But all I know is that something's going on with these flowers. And I don't know if there's a Hall of Fame for flowers and they're not going to be allowed in, the Books people. But they're adding something to these things because these things pop. They are big. They're colorful. They're vibrant. They're not normal flowers. And, I mean, they're real. They're definitely not fake. But there's something going on. I mean, the coloring, everything about these fucking flowers is beautiful. I'm like actively asking how I can get more for an upcoming day that usually you give flowers to a significant other or someone of the female sex. Yeah, I'm just digging myself deeper and deeper. But listen,
what I don't get is why. Why are you even digging here? Put the shovel away and just talk some flowers.
I want more flowers on a specific day. Is it February 14th? What's the day?
Yeah.
14th. I would like for them to get sent to me on February 14th. That would be nice because they are the best flowers I've ever seen. They are. Well,
Frankie, I got good news. You visit Books.com, use /4 and use code 4. You're going to get 25% off.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So you go to BOUQS.com/4, use the code 4, and you get whatever you would like, which is awesome flowers that we believe should have an asterisk because they're that good. For 25% off. So again, you go to BOUQS.com/4, use the code 4, you get 25% off your flowers.
It was a fun two-step to watch people try to execute. They're like, well, the Patrick Reed thing, he's a scumbag, but Rory McIlroy, he's our angel. He can never do anything wrong. And I will say the thing that I disagree with people about the question when people bring up, would the same thing be happening if it wasn't Patrick Reed, which we also obviously got an answer when it happened to Rory McIlroy at the same time. And people are saying, oh, it's not fair to treat Patrick Reed this way when Roy did the same thing. I couldn't disagree with that more. When you have a history like Patrick Reed does, there's no such thing as fair in the court of public opinion. Like if you've had this track record, then you get blamed for these things. And Rory McIlroy, who has a stellar reputation and has never had anything like this, when people are going to give him a pass, that's just how the world works. It's not about fair. So if you can't be mad that Patrick Reed is getting this treatment and Rory McIlroy isn't, when that their paths are completely different.
Right. I mean, yeah, Rory was just so assertive about it, and you just like believed also that it was embedded. where with Patrick, you just didn't. Like fundamentally, you just didn't believe that it was embedded. With Rory, he looked at it, hey guys, I think it's embedded. And maybe it's his demeanor, maybe it's just his history, maybe it's all that baked into one. But you were like, yeah, his ball's probably embedded. With Patrick Reed, you were like, I don't think that thing's embedded by any chance. Like that thing might be flopped up before it's embedded. And so, yeah, it was interesting. I forget the rules official's name that you said was thrown in the fire. Yeah,
Nantucket.
He was killed. And then he kept going back to the line of like the NFL says, oh, it's inconclusive. He kept saying, and we're comfortable with this outcome. And we're comfortable with this outcome. And he like, just that's like the line to just be like, next, we're just going to talk about the next topic.
Which, yeah, you can definitely persecute Reed before you do Rory, just because of if you like the guy or not. I get that, like in the court of public opinion, but you can't get up in arms about the actual act and the actual rule and the integrity of the rule if they both do that. Like you can't, like Reed and the way he handled that situation, you can hate that. But if they both do the same exact thing, you can't get up in arms about what Reed did and be like, well, Rory did it the right way. Like they actually did the same exact thing. So that bending of the rules is clearly allowed if Rory did it and then Reed did it. So let's just reset there, I think.
Well, so what my one difference, and I'll go back to this, is like you calling over the rules official means in a piece of your brain, there is a level of doubt that you actually think the ball was embedded.
The world has bestowed that doubt on Patrick Reed also, though. And then also, I think he just wanted that final nail in the coffin of being like, when I get off this golf course and I go talk to the actual rules official, I want to be able to say, I talked to the fucking lady who's out to lunch over here. I talked to my people in my group. And then I also brought over a rules official. So ipso facto, I want to win this goddamn tournament because I did everything you guys asked me to do.
Well, it definitely puts it on the rules officials. Then up to them to determine whether Patrick Reed did something wrong.
I think Rory that's why he did it.
That's why I think he did it. I think he did it just to be like, I am under a microscope. And at the end of the day, like I'm literally just going to have a rules official here, and whatever is determined, I'm going to play by from this point on, so that at the end of the day, like it's not on me. And honestly, players do that a good amount of time on the PGA Tour. Like we see them call rules officials over a pretty good amount of the time, and it's not because they think that they cheated. It's just like they just want to make sure, because there's 8,000 rules, which Frankie alluded to earlier. Like there's too many rules, they're too complicated. I, as a golfer now on the PGA Tour, like I don't know every single rule in the back of my hand, so I'm going to get someone over here who does, just to make sure, like, from this point forward, we didn't fuck anything up.
So I got a question for the group. Do you think Reed would look better today if he had not called the rules official over than what he did?
No.
It's worse. It's way worse.
It'd be his word versus the world, and the world hates his word.
In my crazy brain, I think he would look better in my eyes.
You're one of the dumbest people in the world then.
You're just talking. But no, my thought is
you always say that as a response when someone goes after you. You're like, well, you're just a guy who's talking.
Because he's
like, yeah, we're talking.
Nothing coming.
Tell us why. Tell us why you feel that way. Tell us why.
Because if you say, all right, so you punch me in the face. I know that you punched me in the face. I don't need to call over anybody else to say like, oh, this happened. That just is what it is. But like, if there's any level of doubt, then like, that becomes wishy-washy in golf. Like if you are not certain it's an embedded ball, like leave the ball where it is. Don't change that. Don't change what is actually that we can review then.
What I don't think you're grasping is that the embeddedness is under the ground and nobody can see it. So if he didn't bring a rules official over, literally no one else on earth would be able to confirm that ball was embedded. Instead, he now has a literally paid rules official by the PGA Tour whose job it is to do these things, who determine, yes, that was an embedded ball, you're good.
Right, but the rules official couldn't review that actual ball because it wasn't actually in that place where it was before. So
there was a moment when he first walks over the rules official and he's like, where's the ball? And you can see like, what the fuck is going on in this murder scene? Like what I don't have enough of the, but I don't think that outweighs getting the word from the official where he says, you did everything right.
Right. We're comfortable with the outcome.
How could that scenario that we just laid out be any better by not bringing over that second set of eyes? Like he would still have lifted up the ball. It would have still been sketchy. He would have still figured it out. And then What, he sort of like dropped and hit? Like I just
Right.
had
Yeah.
he not
People saying like, no, 100%, this is embedded, and I played it from there. Like,
he's saying it's 100%. That's why he lifted the ball out of the hole.
Right.
Like he's doing what you said. Like he showed so much confidence that ball was embedded that he actually took the ball out, set it aside, and said like, oh yeah, this was 100% embedded. I just want to get a double confirmation.
And like Lurch, he's in the final group. Like everyone was watching on television. Like it wouldn't have.
Right.
So it was made like the only other voice in the world that saw or touched the situation was the rules official. Without that, it is purely just Patrick Reed's word versus the rest of the world, which nobody would take now.
The world hates
Patrick
his
Reed
word.
and like a rules official, which gives him a ton more credibility.
Yeah, I guess my thought is the rules official wasn't able to actually review where the ball laid at that given time.
But he wouldn't have been able to whether he called the rules official or not. Like he had already picked up the ball and placed it somewhere else.
You're saying the level of you're saying that the introduction of doubt is like, and maybe like him thinking maybe I'm not 100% positive in this is why you would label him guilty. But had he had so much confidence to just not bring over someone,
right?
But I think, that's where we disagree, which is fine. But I genuinely think he showed so much confidence that he actually lifted the ball out of the hole and was like, I just need that final confirmation so I can get on to the next step.
Well, no, then he said we better get a rules official over here for this. Like, and that's like that's like a level of doubt too. So I don't know. I thought his mannerisms and watching in real time was like he wasn't sure that ball was embedded. Was my takeaway, and whether that's right or wrong is all up for opinion.
Here's what's like. How come you can only direct any doubt towards the one single issue of was it embedded or not? Like you can direct the thought of doubt towards 10 different things in that scenario. Like, what is the rule? Is it a club length? Is it as close as to? Like him and Rory both asked people, is it nearest point or is it a club length? And then they say like, can I clean it or do I not clean it? So like the doubt issue, for whatever reason, you keep only being able to apply that to the embedded part, which I don't think is true because like we ask each other all the time. Like somebody will say, hey, these are yellow stakes. Is this like 2 club lengths on the line or what is this? That doesn't mean like, oh, Rick's ball, he's cheating. It was out of bounds. Like, no, I'm just trying to clarify real quick.
Right. I guess when I was watching in real time, that's just what I felt in that moment. Like when I was watching it, I was like, it doesn't feel like he's certain about it. And that's where I place it. And so, yeah, I mean, there's other things that certainly he asked questions about. But if I was going to do a pie chart, for example, of where to place blame in this thing, I would say that most felt like it. I don't know if I trust it like he thinks it was embedded or not. That's my opinion.
There's a part of what you're saying that that I can somewhat understand. Like if I'm on a golf course and I find my ball in a ridiculous scenario that like the group may not think that my ball is there, like I'm immediately kind of already thinking I've done something guilty. Like you have that feeling. And then when you ask someone like, hey, like, I think I found my ball. Where can I put this? It almost feels like you've done something wrong. So I see what you're saying where you're like, once he asked the guy, you almost feel like he's trying to cover up or whatever. Cause I felt that on my own where you're like something must've happened to have my ball here. These guys aren't going to believe this for a second. So I'm going to ask them. Like, it's that thought of like, oh, all right, let me bring someone over here because they probably think I'm lying.
Right. And there's different avenues of like, where do you want to go next? Like was Pete Reed doing that because he knows that's in place for him? Because like if I play golf with you or my buddies, like I inherently like trust them. I don't think like they're just like going out there and like lying to me about what's going on with their ball or like trying to gain an advantage. So yeah, some of that goes along with his like name brand and it's a very interesting.
Sucks for him because he's just fucking. It sucks for him, and he also deserves it because he just refuses to ever say that he is the person who he is. Dude, that's the stuff that just drives me fucking crazy with him. His post pressers, like his post round pressers, drive me up a wall, and that's like really fun and exciting because I like watching it. It made me want to throw up, like him talking to Amanda Balionis, and he's just not admitting anything. Was very, very funny, and it's something that I think we do need in the game of golf. People are going to say that they want to send him to Azkaban, but those people are muggles, and they'll never understand that we need this type of content.
It is amazing that virtually the exact same scenario happened to Rory McIlroy. For that to happen, I think it happened like 20 minutes after the Patrick Reed thing happened. So then, because imagine a world where that doesn't happen to Rory McIlroy, and we're just talking solely about Patrick Reed. He gets no cover. Everyone is accusing him of the worst things possible. But for that to happen to Rory on the same day, 20 minutes apart, and on such a hot topic or a hot button issue, that provides so much cover for Patrick Reed that he should drop to his knees and thank the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't start parading that around afterwards and just go hammering that home as hard as possible. Because it's impossible really for people to be like, this was so much cheating, but this was fine. Like, that's just, you could pick them apart. You could pick the palming of the ball or the moving of it. But overall, there's just no way that you can point at one and be like totally cheating and point at the other one and be like, but that's absolutely fine. Like, it was 99% the same fucking thing. And that it was Rory and Patrick Reed. It was great. So it'll be very interesting to see how things proceed from here. Lanto Griffin came out and said that it pisses them off, that's the chatter. So between those words, Xander's words, Nick Faldo, Brandel, like, clearly the golf world is pissed off. They're rattled.
Well, not everybody's take on the telecast. Riggs, you and I talked about it a little bit, I think, before we started recording, where beginning of the round Sunday, when they're finally airing it on CBS, like, all right, we're going to watch Sunday at Farmers, and we get 20 minutes of them just jumping around to each broadcaster giving their take. And I get it. Like, they finally had a story that was one of the biggest stories in the country. Patrick Reed Saturday night was the #1 trend on Twitter. So people are talking about it. So I understand they felt like they needed to address it off the top of the broadcast, but them jumping from every single broadcaster to the next broadcaster, giving a soliloquy about how they feel about what happened, was insanity.
Dude, it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. And I will say too, that they were a little bit of a victim of the times, in that we had all aired this out for 24 hours straight because of social media, because of Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want to say. So, like, we had then been watching Golf Channel where Brandel's breaking it down. So by the time we got to the coverage, it was like, show the fucking golf. Like, we've already done all this, and now you guys are doing it. It's like, no, we've been doing this. Whereas, like, if this was, 15, 20 years ago, and you hadn't broken it all down, you had heard some whispers, maybe they brought it up on your nightly sports before they do the weather, and you were kind of like, what is all this? And then you got the full breakdown, you'd be like, hell yeah, we had already fucking done that. It's 2021. We'd done it a million times. We just wanted to show the golf. And on top of that, they came on 20 minutes late because of the basketball. So they had the coverage gap. Then you finally get through the coverage gap. You're watching PGA Tour live stream on Golf Channel. It's not even the real coverage. Then they finally come on. You hear whispers again that Patrick Reed made like an eagle and you missed it. And then they go like, Dottie Pepper, let's go to you. And then it's almost like you're watching the fucking Senate where they got to be like, Dottie Pepper from the great state of Texas. What does yours say? I say I. And they do the whole fucking thing. You're like, can we just show a golf shot, please? Like, can I? And you just couldn't get a golf shot. It was infuriating.
The only way I wanted to hear Nick Faldo again on it is if he was 4 or 5 whiskeys deep. Like, that's the Nick Faldo I want to hear. I want to hear that guy's opinion on it, because at one point during the end of Saturday's broadcast, when they're signing off and Nick's giving his thoughts, I thought he was gonna like loosen his tie and be like, this fucking Patrick Reed guy, I can't stand him, because he clearly is like completely out on Patrick Reed and cannot believe the black eye that he's put on the game. But other than that, I don't need to hear another rehashing of how they all feel. Especially
the Europeans, right? Like, imagine if like Ian Poulter was a little bit dicey with the rules, like how fucking on top of him we would be all the time.
Right.
And so they have such an axe to grind. And now he's like this fucking ridiculous. He's always wearing red, white, and blue now. He's like he's embraced the Captain America
thing. That face too. He's breathing in cold air. Like he just ate a ton of gum. And all the air is really, really spicy and sharp. He's like, and it always looked like he stubbed his toe or something. And you're like, what is that face? It's just a very hateable face. He does it right after it too. Like, ugh.
He's an asshole for sure, but he's an entertaining asshole.
He is. And I have done whatever 3 or 4 times we chatted with him at the US Open, and he was extremely nice. And there's accounts of him being like nice. People like, there was when JT was busting his balls at the President's Cup last year when they were in the bunker and he did the shovel thing. So like clearly he's got enough personality that like people like him in situations. If we see him in a tournament, we get to interview him about how he's doing in that tournament or whatever. Like we're going to chat with Patrick Reed and we hope it goes fucking well. But ultimately it's getting to the point where it's building so much that it's trouncing anything else that you can address. It's trouncing anything else that you can talk about. It's like so overwhelming about Patrick Reed that you can't talk to the guy as a media figure, whoever, and not bring up, like you can't, if you speak or interview Patrick Reed and you don't start with like, are you a cheater? Are you a fucking cheater? Like, then you're not doing your job. You're like a scumbag who's enabling the guy. So it's getting to that boiling point, and how we're going to address it. Like we're going to be at majors this year and we're going to, Kessler's an awesome guy. Like I know he had the physical incident in Australia, and like maybe people think, but like Kessler is beloved out there. He's a super nice guy. He was defending his guy. There was all kinds of shit going on. Like Kessler's awesome, very well liked out there. So like we're gonna see Patrick Reed. I was trying ferociously to get him on the show for this. He's flying over to the Middle East, which that's a whole nother fucking story. They're going to Saudi Arabia. But anyways, it's the Patrick Reed saga has just begun. I mean, this guy is only 30 years old. He's going to be around for at least another 25, 30 years if you count the senior tour. And believe me, that guy will go on to the senior tour and clean people up. So the whole thing is going to be, it's very interesting.
If we made a wish list of people that we want to interview on this show, I think it goes 1, Tiger Woods. I think we'd all agree on that. And then 1A or 1B is Justine Reed. I want Justine Reed. She's got to be right up there with the number 1 and number 2 interview in golf right now. I just want to know what's going through her head.
That shit crazy, man.
And we could hook her up to a lie detector. That's where she rivals the best interview that you could get. I mean,
I think too, I think she would love to do a podcast interview. I think she's stewing at home in fucking Texas, and she's just ready to launch missiles at everyone about everything, about Jim Furyk, about Jordan Spieth, about Justin Thomas, about the fucking rules officials, about everybody.
I can't believe she tweeted from Patrick Reed's account. That is so fucking outrageous. That's a culmination of so many years of us and a lot of golf media really alluding that use golf facts and that she's behind his schedule, his money, his decision makings with his family, everything that has to do with Patrick Reed's life, that she has been the fuck. Is it Geppetto?
Oh.
Is it Geppetto who puppets Pinocchio?
I think you're right. I think
it's Geppetto. She's Geppetto and Patrick Reed's Pinocchio, which is also funny because it's just lying and the whole thing. It's a nice little thing I did there.
That was great. There's 2 things that we've seen from Justine Reed in person that have made.
Is Geppetto like?
I knew we weren't done.
Is Geppetto the cricket?
No, Geppetto's he's the maker.
Okay.
No, you remember at the PGA Championship at Bethpage Black when we were making our video out front doing the arrivals where we were making fun of all the guys. That's where we first got into it with Matthew Fitzpatrick. Yep. It was a very good video. And there was one part of the video, and I think it's in there, where Justine Reed shows up and there's a little putting area right behind where the players would arrive. And people are focused. It's a major, so they're trying to get their shit together. And Justine Reed walked in looking like Cersei Lannister in all gold and just walked straight across that putting green on everybody's line in everybody's way. And we were like, that person has got something going on. And then the other one, I think Riggs and you and I were walking at some tournament, and she was just sitting on the ground, like under a tree on a random hole. And we're like, I'm pretty sure that's Justine Reed. And she was just sitting there, not looking at her phone.
She had like a notepad and she was just ruthlessly going through the notepad. And then she also was like, we've seen her every practice round we've ever seen. She's out there on the greens going away. And like in Chapel, we've talked about, she'll just like get you. She's like, if you're just working on a putt or something, she'll just walk in your way and be like, no, I have to read the fucking green. Like, get out. What are you doing here? Get out of the way. So she's
a fascinating character in the golf universe.
So interesting. I mean, I would be shocked if she's like hiring like PIs to investigate other golfers and scoop dirt on. Totally. If you cross her, she is looking for blood.
I am a little worried.
So when you talk about a notepad, Riggs, like what's in that notepad? Like so-and-so did this in a tournament, so-and-so did that. I mean, I would not.
Be a 5-hour interview. If we had her on the show, it'd be a 5-hour podcast.
I am worried that we've seen the death of used golf facts because they haven't tweeted. There hasn't been any likes, no replies. I fear that now that she has, exposed herself as used golf facts, she might not keep using it. But then in the back of my head, she's going to get so angry at something that she's going to start tweeting again like
Bro,
crazy.
she's absolutely going to keep using it. She tweeted from Patrick Reed's account, deleted it, tweeted it from her own account, and then left it up there so that anytime someone saw the screenshot of like who possibly could have tweeted from Patrick Reed's account, they can now say it's this account that's been tweeting about Patrick Reed for the last couple of years.
I hope she just creates a new burner account that's like
the best part,
more golf facts or something like that. Just something stupid, but just like another burner.
The Patrick Reed tweet is still up. Like it hasn't been deleted.
Wait a minute.
No, is it?
It's literally still up. I'm looking at it.
On Patrick Reed's account?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, she didn't. That never got deleted.
Oh.
That's stunning. I thought she deleted it.
Holy fuck, she didn't delete it. That's crazy.
They just kept it up.
Yeah,
She's just like,
it only has 700 likes. Like, how is that not the biggest story of the whole thing? That a Patrick Reed tweet to Phil Marshall and Jeff Mill 8888 and PRMPR. Like, she's responding to nobodies on Threads 9 messages down. Rory McIlroy, and then @ Rory McIlroy did the same thing today on hole 18 from Patrick Reed.
Her actually being behind that Twitter account, I know we talked about it a lot about how, it's definitely her. Like, it's for sure her, 99% sure it's her. But I think somewhere in the back of my head, I was like, no, that can't be.
Dude, I think too, it's funnier that there's a little bit of a cover that it's not like stated or officialized that it's Justine Reed. Like there's an ounce of cover that it's not her. And that makes it so much funnier that she like, what percentage of her do you think tweets from it being like, oh, they think this is just fucking used golf facts. Like this is just a fan who loves facts of golf tweeting about what's going on, the happenings of the golf world. Like
it is a larger discussion about what sort of media the Reed family consumes. Because like Patrick Reed probably doesn't even know he has a Twitter account. He might not even know what Twitter is. Like he's said it before in interviews where he plays golf and goes home and spends time with his family. He leaves the house, he goes and plays golf, and he goes back to his family. Like I'm sure he knows about a lot of it. It'd be impossible not to, because we talk about how great it is that he can block all this stuff out and still win a tournament by 5 strokes. But there is part of me that he's just, he's like, that's just Justine. That's what she does. And I'm just going to keep playing golf and win tournaments.
I think that's it. I think he's like, I hit golf ball. I go home. I tend to my family. And I guess Justine might be on Twitter with some, I don't know. It's just not what I do. So whatever. And God bless him because it works. He goes and wins golf tournaments. And it's.
I wonder if anybody will ever ask him besides us. I mean, if we got our hands on Patrick Reed, we're going to ask him about used golf facts. But if any other media, like when they do post-round interviews, if they would be like, hey, probably for the casual viewer, you're not going to know what I'm about to talk about, but tell us everything about used golf facts, because that's got to be a fascinating story.
Like that Patrick Reed tweet being up, they brought it up. They put it on Golf Channel. Like it's a tweet from his official account. So like that tweet was put on Golf Channel. So now, I mean, I guess it would be next time he does a presser, like when he does a pre-tournament presser where you get 20 minutes with him or so, where you can really grill the guy. And somebody has to bring it up. Be like, this account used golf facts with all caps on facts. Like this account is just clearly you or your wife, right? Like it's you tweet it, it's just you. Like, and I don't know how he's going to respond. He might just be like, I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm not on Twitter. I don't know.
Every other bind that he's gotten himself in, it's a rules one. And he can be like, I thought I did everything right. Like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I followed the rule. I called the rules official over. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer. But there's not an acceptable normal answer to, does your wife run a burner account that trashes other players on tour and then accidentally forgets to switch from your main account and back to the burner? Like, what could he possibly say to that?
Yeah.
Just so good. It's so good. And that, my friends, is why I tweeted that the Reeds are awesome. They are just through and through so awesome. The fact that they're real is almost not believable. Like, how do we get so lucky that the Reeds are a real thing in today's golf world, and how boring and bland 95% of these guys are? And you get the Reed family that is just diabolical. And I think we're only at the beginning of it. I think there's got to be so much under the surface. if this is like like you said, she's just going to lose her mind one of these days about God knows what. She'll see a segment of fucking Brandel roasting and whatever, and she's just going to fire that account back up, and who knows where it's going to go. One time it led to Patrick Reed doing a fucking New York Times interview after the Ryder Cup where he threw Jim Furyk and Jordan Spieth under the bus. So like, you just don't know where this is going to end, and it's absolutely excellent. Before we go to our very good friend Ryan Dempster, who is going to be like a 3-hour podcast, who knows? But a couple other things. Tony Finau finished tied for second. Nice. Victor Hovland's drop, which Lurch alluded to earlier, was one of the funniest and most awkward things I've ever seen on television coverage. And he was a victim, you're right, Lurch, of like they were zooming in on every ball in the rough or that was being chipped. They were like super zooming on the ball. And it made me uncomfortable in my apartment. Like I was sitting in the couch a little bit like, oh, don't move. Like it was so awkward trying to watch that. And then it looked like a kindergarten teacher was directing his like 4-year-old student. Like, no, place it here. Try to place it here, little Vicky. Try to place it there. And they just couldn't get the fucking ball to stop rolling. That was infuriating to watch.
I think I laughed out loud quickly. Like Trent tweeted out, I think just 1,000 times. It just said, I think place it.
No, the guy kept saying, pick it up again. Pick it up again. Pick it up again. Pick it up again. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And to Frankie's larger point about the rules of golf, that's where it's like, where you lose the casual viewer, by the way, when they're trying to figure shit out that nobody cares about except them. And they're just being like, pick it up again. If you're flipping channels and you're like, oh, I'll check out the golf. I hear something's going on with Patrick Reed. And then they cut to this guy telling Hovland just to keep picking it up 90 times. They're going to be like, fuck this. I'm not watching this.
What is this sport?
Right.
Hovland was caught in the crosshairs, that poor young kid. I mean, like, he didn't want to be there. At that point, he was like, just give me T10. I'm out of here. I don't want to be part of this golf tournament any longer.
Well, Hovland on the 17th hole missed a 26-inch putt that cost him almost $400,000. That hurt. He had like a 30-footer up the hill, and it almost went in. It looked like it was going to go in. That would have gotten him within like a stroke or two at the time, which Reed, I mean, Torrey Pines South, anything could happen out there. It's a hard golf course. So it looked like that was going to go in. You're like, oh, we could have had a golf tournament. Then it was like he just lost focus, didn't clean that one up properly, ended up costing him, again, almost $400,000, which sucks. Will Zalatoris, who's got a phenomenal name, finished tied for 7th. Young stud coming up. He looks exactly like Happy Gilmore's caddy from the first round when he fucking, oh my God. He looks exactly like him. So I saw a couple tweets about that. While we're here, Carlos Ortiz looks exactly like Jordan Spieth on the golf course.
Crazy.
Nobody could get over that. Every time they cut to him, it was like, oh, Spieth, and it just wasn't Spieth. That was hard to get over.
I saw you try not to get your hopes up about Spieth. He had that one great shot, and then he just didn't miss. He missed the cut.
Yeah, I had that shot to get to like 4 under, and they're like, oh, Jordan Spieth moves to within 4 of the lead. And I tweeted, I will not get my hopes up about Jordan Spieth. I will not get my hopes up about Jordan Spieth. And then a few hours later, he missed the cut. And then I had these fucking idiots on Twitter, people don't have a brain, that are tweeting me the next morning that are like, that didn't age well. And I was like, no, actually it aged perfectly. Like I literally tweeted, don't get your hopes up about Jordan Spieth. And then it was vindicated that I should not have got my hopes up about Jordan Spieth. So like, actually it aged perfectly. That was why I tweeted that.
One of the worst parts of Twitter is the people who do that didn't age well. When I'm all right. So I don't have a fucking time machine. Like all my tweets are with all the available information that I have at the time. Whatever happens in the future, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball.
Dude, I get that shit. I get that shit with the hockey all the time. They're like, you're tweeting in all caps. The Islanders are up 3-0. They lost 6-3. How they'll always go back at the end of the game to when the Islanders went up 1-0 or something, or someone scored. How'd that turn out for you? It's like at that moment when I said the Islanders are throttling the Capitals, it's true. They were throttling the Capitals. Did they end up getting throttled? Yeah. Check my most recent tweet where I said I don't want to watch hockey anymore. Like I've tweeted since then. Things have happened. Like whatever I'm seeing in front of me, it's not like old takes exposed. I'm not even that mad about it, as PFT would say. This doesn't get me aggravated at all. I'm actually laughing at this situation. I'm actually laughing.
it's also, it's not a take. You're just describing what happens in real time, and you were correct about.
That's my point. I've never really made takes. I'm not sitting here being like, the Capitals are going to miss the playoffs because of their play in this first period. Like, that would be old takes exposed. That's like, all right, you're saying that this team doesn't have what it takes to make it to the playoffs. I'm just saying the Islanders are throttling the Capitals in the first period. It was 3-0, 22-0 in shots. That's what was happening. Never once said they were going to win the game. Nothing. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
I will say one quick point on that kid. What's his name? Will Zalatoris. How do you pronounce his last name?
I think it's Zalatoris.
Faldo made a great comment after he ripped that 3-wood. He goes, "Oh, he's got lovely quick hips," or something like that. That I got a good kick out of just Faldo sitting back with a drink potentially at that point.
Faldo always says little things. He called me a delicate little flower.
Yeah.
We're shouting out 3-wood. We got to shout out Adam Scott's 3-wood. That thing was fucking ridiculous.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't like Adam Scott's. Was it the UNLO or whatever? How do you say that brand?
Whatever that
Uniblow?
Unilo? It's just it's a bunch of boxes all over him. I don't think he looks good. I don't think the imaging is great. I think they need to rework that.
He's too hot to look like that.
Yeah, and then like every time he takes that putter out, it looks like he's wielding a sword. That fucking massive putter. You can't have a putter like that and miss putts. Like, it's just so cocky. It's crazy. You've got this ridiculous looking putter with 2 grips on it. And you're just like, it's just so ridiculous looking. Every time I see him walking up to the green with it, it's like he's going to fucking jump over one. What's that Olympic sport?
We haven't finished the last
pole vault.
Pole vault. It's like he's going to pole vault over something. It's a ridiculous putter.
I wouldn't say it's
say something positive here soon. We're going to finish this podcast with a negative aspect too. Maybe I'm just trying to get things on an upswing. You got anything positive to add about what happened over the weekend?
No, the Islanders haven't won in 5 straight games. Tony DeAngelo is getting in fights with the Rangers. That was a positive.
Yeah, there you go.
The Rangers losing a defenseman who's scored 86 points in the last 2 seasons because he's the most hated player in all of sports history. This guy, Tony DeAngelo, may be hated more than Patrick Reed. He got punched in the face, quote unquote.
He got waived, and no NHL team picked him up.
No, the guy had 86. The guy had 50-something points last year as a defenseman. Yeah. No one's picking him up. He got punched, rumor has it, by Chris Kreider right in the face in the locker room. The Rangers came out today and said he will no longer play on this organization.
Yeah.
You gotta be creative at that point.
Just like, Glennie Balls tweets out a Sopranos gif every time the guy gets a point. He was like the most liked Ranger ever. I've always known this guy was an asshole.
Yeah, I don't know if he was the most liked Ranger ever.
Yeah, people love Tony D. Tony D. Everyone said the New York thing.
Yeah, maybe. So.
You're not a part of that.
No.
Francesco Molinari got his first top 10 in nearly 2 years since
Paisan
cut his throat and drowned him in Rays Creek at the 12th hole at Augusta National. So he's somehow reemerged. Good for Francesco Molinari. Glad that he recovered from the spanking that Tiger Woods gave him.
It is stunning to see his name. I forgot he existed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was pretty much Tiger made good work of him, and he's been done, and he's finished top 10, so good for him. And then the last thing is somebody brought up, we saw lots of emails and tweets about this, that Tiger Woods' worst score in his history from each hole at Augusta National. I saw a few different submissions, but I think 107 seemed to be the most common number that I saw was 107. So
it was 35 over, I think. Is that the right math?
Yeah. So Tiger Woods, it's funny to go through the scorecard, but first hole's a double, second hole's only a bogey. So, I know that's a par 5 that those guys can get, but your worst score playing hundreds of rounds in tournament play at Augusta on the second hole, only being a bogey, that's really not bad. The third hole, he's made a double. The fourth hole, he's made a double, which is a par 3. Fifth hole, he's made a double. That's par 4. Sixth hole, he's made a double. That's a par 3. Seventh hole, he's made only a bogey. The worst score he's made on the seventh hole is a bogey. That's shocking. That hole, with all those bunkers up front, the narrow tee shot, it's 450 now or something like that. The worst score he's ever made there is a 5.
Wow.
Just imagine that being your floor on any golf hole on planet Earth, that you're just I made a 5 once and that's the worst I ever did. Tiger Woods has a pretty storied history at Augusta National. He's played there a lot. So for that to be only a bogey is just It's mind blowing, honestly.
I couldn't believe that. The 8th hole, he's made a triple. So that like made me feel normal. I was like, okay, good. Like there's holes where he's made. The 9th hole, the worst score he's made is a bogey. Again, thought that was amazing. Hole, the worst score he's made is a double. The 11th hole, the worst score he's ever made is a bogey.
Jesus.
Crazy.
Jesus.
With the water down the left, like he hits drives in those fucking right trees all the time. And the worst score he's ever made there is a 5.
That green's not easy.
The 12th hole, he made a 10. So we were all witness to that this past year. 13th hole, he's made a double. 14th hole, he's made a bogey. That's the worst. There's no bunkers in that hole and no water, but still, that's surprising. 15th hole, he's made a triple. That makes sense. 16th hole, the worst hole score he's ever made is a bogey. Found that very surprising. 17 bogey and 18 bogey. So again, extremely impressive that in all of his time, he's got that many holes where he's never made a double or worse. That's all going off of this one guy's spreadsheet that he sent us. So if any of that information is incorrect, please do not blame us. Please blame Colby. This guy's name's Colby. So if you're going to blame anyone for any data that we just gave you, blame Colby.
And you know what? In that same vein with Colby's, if your name is Colby, you fucking must, you pieces of shit, get your lives together, Colby. I'm talking to you, the guy who sent us that fucking spreadsheet, and then all the Colbys out there. Yes, you Colby too. Go subscribe. Go subscribe to Foreplay on YouTube. You must. You absolutely must. It is your duty. Also, that's just one stroke better than double bogey on every single hole, right? 35 over. So, I mean, I think I could beat that. I hope. Every single hole, double bogey or better.
I think I beat that.
I'd like to speak to every Chad out there.
Wow, we're going with the C's.
Chad, you've been roasted on the internet for the last 5-6 years or so.
Tough name.
Being considered just the I guess I would say encompassing of a total douchebag.
Yep.
And now is your chance, Chad, to go redeem yourself. And you go to YouTube and you click Foreplay Golf. You click the little subscribe button right there. And you, Chad, now have freed yourself from this eternal internet life of being a total douchebag. And you have entered a world of respect. We now respect you. We like you. We thank you for subscribing. Great work, Chad.
There's a guy out there who messaged me, and I can't remember his name now, so he may be in limbo forever. But he said, should I subscribe right now, or should I wait until you call my name? And it was like an obscure name. Because I know you'll never call my name. It's so ridiculous. And I told him to wait. I'm gonna have to go back and look.
I got to run here for a 7 p.m. call, but so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say, Luke, if you're out there, Luke, join. Give a subscribe. Simple, easy. I gotta go speak to a Luke now. So if you're another one out there, go subscribe.
Another Star Wars name.
Star Wars. He's getting in the field. He's got to go enter his Battlestar Galactica.
Hold on, before I go.
Get on there.
Get it.
Take off. Launch.
Here
Launch time.
My name is Ben Severance. I want to talk. Hey, my name is Ben Severance. I want to talk to you about some drones here at Axon.
All right, Josh, listen up.
Wow. Have we done Josh already?
I don't know.
Is anyone taking track of this stuff?
I'm not.
But Josh, doubt it.
Josh, listen, man. You probably suck as a bunker player. You suck out of the bunkers, just like I do. You need to learn how to do it correctly. And Tommy Fleetwood is gonna teach you. He's gonna coach you. We got a video coming out. It's probably already out now when you're listening to this, or it's coming out tonight. Just watch it. Well, first subscribe. You're gonna get all of our videos. There's a lot more coming, a lot more instructional stuff. Tommy Fleetwood's up first. He's going to teach you how to get out of a bunker. He taught all of us, and it was miraculous. So, Josh, go ahead and subscribe and learn how to be a better bunker player.
Wow. I really thought you were just attacking Josh's at the beginning by saying they're horrible bunker players. And I was like, well, that's not very nice, Trent. But yeah,
I was like, do you know a specific Josh that is a horrible bunker player?
No.
Okay. Next up, we're finally going to get to this interview, which is
wow.
So
what a long podcast.
Further ado, here is World Series champion Ryan Dempster. How we doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good, man. Got the
Yeah,
light set up behind
Where are you guys all? Where's everyone at?
I'm in Scottsdale.
I'm in New York City. It's snowing like crazy.
Yeah,
no,
we just got that.
Long Island, New York, snowing just as much as New York City. It's crazy. I mean, we got 2 feet out here. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Tough loss last night. Sorry about that.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
are we gonna start? You're gonna start trashing me about the Islanders? Is that what this is?
Dude,
fucking-
the mid '80s were like my heyday. Bossy, Trottier, Potvin, all those guys. So I have this like small little part of me that's this Islanders fan in there.
You're talking my language now. You're talking sweet fucking science now. I mean, this is they haven't won in, it's been 5 straight losses, so I'm kind of losing my fucking mind. But yeah, we're holding on to some hope. Last night was tough.
Your commercial was cool though, Frank.
They haven't won since the commercial came out.
Man.
And in the commercial, it's a New Amsterdam vodka commercial. In the commercial, they said whether your team is winning, and it shows like the Blackhawks, and it's like, or losing, and it shows me and my dad go, no. And I was like,
hey, I hate feeling like the jinx. I've been there, man.
right.
Like Marlins, I got traded. I come up in '98. After winning the World Series, then I get traded. They win the World Series. I'm like starting to put it all together. I get over to the Cubs. We start tanking. I'm like, it's me, dude. I'm the weak link right here.
You got the monkey off your back, though.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say like we get that with golf, with tweeting about golf. Like if one of our guys is playing well, you start tweeting about it, and he makes double. Every person just replies like, "You're a jinx. You're a mush. Stop fucking tweeting about this guy. Sucks."
Well, we can get into that. We can get into superstitions a little bit because I think there's a good connect there between baseball and golf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're into it. We've already started.
I think
We're in. I like that. I hate the stupid intros. I think
we're
that's
not. This is not Walter Cronkite here.
Ryan Dempster's on Foreplay. Welcome to the
Heck
show.
yeah. Thanks
That's
for
right.
having me.
He's on the show. 2013 World Series champion, 2-time All-Star. Big golfer. I hear you're a pretty good player. Is that right?
Decent, yeah. And my index, I'm giving strokes most of the time, which I should start figuring out a way to post a few more bad scores or something.
Yeah, I think I was looking. If you're like a 4 or 5 or so, we've talked a lot on the show about how I think that's the worst handicap you could possibly be.
Yeah, the days when I was a 10, it was better because I could still fire out at like, a mid 70s round, even maybe close to par on a great day. And I'm getting a ton of strokes. I'm winning a bunch of money. Now I got to I have to shoot 75 to 78. Otherwise I'm losing.
Couldn't agree more. And maybe it's just like me being a little bitch about it, but I have said that for years, that just like when you're a 5 or so, which is what I've been forever, it's like if I'm not that good. So people that are like a 2 or a 3 are way better and they play way more consistently. And people that are like an 8 to a 12 are pretty similar, but they're getting 5 or 6 more shots. And in match play, they'll just dust you and clean you out every time.
Kevin Millar always tells me, he's like, then stop complaining and become a 1. Like, he's like, you got to practice more, Ryan. I know you're in Chicago and you have to visualize golf a lot because you can't play in the winter. But I really do. It's that short game that I gotta figure out.
Do you think you've got it in you to be a 1? We talk about that on the show all the time. You're a professional athlete. Do you think you got it in you?
I do. I think I do. I went from I got my daughter here. Huh? No,
okay.
That's
a family
my
show,
coffee.
family friendly.
Yeah. Say hi to the boys real quick. Say hi. Say hi to the boys. There you go.
Hey.
Hey, she did not look happy to see us, I will say.
No,
she wants my coffee, which, it's not happening right now. I have to drink it because I have kids, So, I think that I never had got lessons my whole life. Like I just went off of my just pure athletic raw ability, which was, on a golf course subpar at best. And I just said enough. Like I just got tired of like the up and down, the not being consistent, like the not constantly breaking 80 was bothering me. The sitting at 82 to 90 range. So I said, screw it. And I went and got lessons. I went to this place in Chicago, a place called Golf Now, started working with some guys, did the golf specific actual lifting. So I was training those muscles. Wow. And I went from like, a 9, 10 down to a 4. Like I actually got down to like a 2.8 in my index one summer because I was just practicing. It's amazing, eh? Practice actually pays off. So yes, I think I could get down to the close to scratch if I dedicated it.
Were you when your index was that low? Were you playing the same course a lot?
No, I was playing everywhere.
See, that's impressive because I like the lowest I've ever gotten. I was playing the same course every day for like 2 years pretty much. And I got somewhere around like a 3, but I wasn't a 3. Like when we go play somewhere else, I was like a 6 or a 7. But when we played the same course all the time, I could, I don't know, you just muscle memory, confidence, whatever the hell it is. You go out and shoot like mid-70s pretty easily. But yeah, it's interesting. Do you think pitchers are the best golfers out of baseball players? It feels like they are.
I would say like on a general whole, yes. Like if you were to take the sum of all the ball players, but I mean, there's some guys out there position player wise that are really good. Like guys like Aaron Hicks and, Donaldson's a good player. And, Brian McCann's a good player. There's other guys I know I'm missing, but
Jeff McNeil's really good.
Jeff McNeil's like a 1, and coaches like Phil Nevin is a position player. And even when he was playing, good golfer, like had been down around scratch, really, really good golfer. So, but I think we just have more free time. Like it's frowned upon when you're a position player to get up at 6 a.m. and go play Oakmont, Pittsburgh, and then be ready to hit taters at night. Like, whereas I can get away with that pretty easy.
Plus too, like the idea that I don't know, it just boggles my mind that guys in season with a baseball swing would be comfortable then doing a golf swing, because I know that they're somewhat similar in the fact of like if you actually like take it like the contact is still kind of similar, but it's completely different planes. Like I'm always told when I go to a lesson or someone tries to explain the swing to me because I'm an idiot, they always say, "Oh, that's very baseball of you. You're kind of scooping, your shoulders coming down a little bit, you're coming up on it." Like I just always found that to be interesting. We've talked to McNeil about that. Like he's able to go out there and just kind of separate the two pretty simply. I would think for a pitcher, it's like no problem. Like, there's no muscle memory there with the swinging. You guys are just thinking about pitching.
Well, especially Frankie, you look at my career batting average. There's definitely no problem in between how I hit and hitting a golf ball.
That's so funny that you say that. I was just going to your baseball reference page to see what it was. Do you know what it is off the top of your head?
It's the worst stat I own. It's 0.99. You know how much that hurts?
That's exactly what it is. So you definitely know what it is. How much does that kill you that it's not triple digits?
It kills me more than being a game under 500. In my career.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
And the reason I can like you talk about compartmentalizing, people are like, "Man, you're a game under 500." Like people on Twitter will get on me, right? Like some smart ass comment, like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, I had back-to-back years in 06, 07 as the closer where my combined record was 3-19.
Oh.
Or sorry, 3-16. I was 2-7 and 1-9. So that as a starting pitcher, I was a winning pitcher. As a closer, I was not. But I think that's a really tough one because all I think to myself is not would I've just got one more hit. I'm like, why didn't I just get one of those sack bunts down instead of fouling that pitch off?
Right.
Right. That's the pitcher in me. Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow, guys. I go to sleep at night sometimes thinking about that one still.
I was listening recently to our hockey guys. They did a couple years ago, Chicklets guys, an interview with Nathan McKinnon, and he was telling the story about how he got 99 points one year and couldn't quite get to 100. And then when he went back, up to like Nova Scotia for training all summer long, that like Brad Marchand from the Bruins was just roasting him because he had gotten 100 that year and just chirping him of like, "Oh yeah, the double digit club. Like, that's great." And just like roasting him up. He's like, one fucking deflection or random like second assist or anything gets me to 100 and you're just right there. So yeah, one game under that 99. That's just you're so close.
I'm knee deep in Ryan Dempster stats right now, and I'm looking. So you never turned on one. You couldn't hit a home run either.
No, so close so many times. Not so many times, but BP I could, and then I realized I was hitting completely wrong after I got done playing and losing all my power leverage. But I hit the top of the yellow line twice. Oh. Dimitri Young robbed a home run from me in Cincinnati. That sucked. And the next day he told me the only reason he could rob it was because the batter before me, Mike Redmond, hit a ball in the left field corner. And so he had to run the ball down the left field corner. And he's like, "I just didn't get back to position in time. And I was back there to be able to go get it." I'm like, "You son of a bitch, dude, my only shot. And your lazy ass is the reason." That's why. It was because he was lazy. No, it was, I had a bunch of close calls and never got one. But still I'm fine with that, the 099, I'm not fine with. When you talk about buddies, like how McKinnon's buddies are ripping them, I go home to my little town in Canada and they say the same thing. Like we'll be all sitting around playing poker and somehow somebody will start talking about hitting and they'll all just be like, well, Ryan, shut up, dude. You don't get in on this conversation. You know nothing about hitting. We can all hit better than you, and that's just the facts.
Oh man, it's tough. Well, I will say, like, if we're gonna talk about, you know, your shittier stats, like your World Series champ, and I'm a St. Louis guy, and pretty much all we've got is the Cardinals and the Blues. And game one, I think you closed out what, like an 8-1 win against us or something like that.
It was 8-0, and I came in and I hit one that Matt Holliday hit off of like I don't know, the House of Blues over there on Lansdowne Street.
Yeah,
he crushed it. But the best was afterwards, you know, like, and then we win the game. And I remember this too because it was 8-0. I gave up the home run, first hitter of the inning. Then I get a couple outs. Then I give up a base hit to right field. You know, and it's the playoffs and it's the World Series, so everything's magnified. And all of a sudden, like our bullpen gets going, and I like look in the dugout, two out with a 7-run lead. I'm like, John Farrell, if you even think about coming out here, you and I are fighting. Like we're full on scrapping after this game. So, and he just like, I looked over and he's like, just like gave me the finish it look, and I punched out Matt Adams. And we're in the shower after the game, and Johnny Gomes looks over at me, right? And I'm like, wow, dude, that ball got crushed, that Holiday hit, huh? And he goes, hey, Ryan, look at it this way. If you would have finished the World Series with a 0 ERA, nobody would have thought you pitched. So it's good that he gave it up.
Sure, that's a good one.
That is good. I've always wondered that, like, is it a little flustering, like when the bullpen gets going? Is that a little bit like, yeah, you're like, okay, you fuckers, like I see what's going on here.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay, you don't believe in me anymore, you know? And I was always a guy that actually, to be honest with you, I kind of got fueled by that. You know, that was just years and years and years of Braden Looper coming in and giving up all my runs in Florida. So I was like, from now on, if anybody's getting up, I'm not letting it happen. I'll give up the granny before I'm going to let somebody else come in and give up all my runs.
Yeah, I could see that. It's funny how like the mind games and what, you know, like I could see some people get rattled or that messes them up or they choke, and other people, you get kind of motivated, you get fired up, because it's like, you know, we talk about golf, like if, you know, it's not the same thing clearly, but like your peripherals and your ability to like sense, even if somebody's like watching you in golf, even though it means nothing, even though you don't care, even though that person doesn't care where you actually hit it, like in your head, even if you can't actually see it, you know what's going on and you can sense it, and how that affects people differently is interesting.
Yeah, well, I've said this forever, that I think a starting pitcher and a golfer are probably the two most similar different sport athletes. So, you know, think about it. We go out and, you know, you're hoping to throw 100 pitches in a game, right? And if you're worried about pitch number 17 when you're making pitch number 18, now instead of giving up that solo homer, you've given up a double, a walk. Next thing you know, you've given up a 4 spot. Now you're not making the cut. And that's the same sort of similar things where Greg Maddux and I would always talk about it. And Harvey Dorfman, who was a sports psychologist, wrote a bunch of really good books on, you know, the ABCs of pitching and the mental game of baseball, compartmentalizing this shot, this moment, this pitch. I select the pitch I want to throw, where I want to locate it, and then all I have to do is execute. And that's the same as a golf shot. I'm looking at the shot, I pick the club I want to hit it with, and then I visualize hitting that shot, and then I have to execute. And if all of a sudden I hit it in the bunker and I'm like, man, I'm mad, I'm not getting up and down. You have to be able to shut that off and make the next shot. I could walk 3 guys in a row, which I've done plenty of times. I can walk 4 guys in a row and still get out of it if I can truly sit there and say, it's about this shot right here, this pitch, and that's all that matters. And for me, playing golf earlier on in my career, I didn't do it a lot. Playing it middle of my career really changed my perspective as far as being able to do that out on the mound, because that was something I struggled with. You know, a guy making an error behind me, a bad call by the umpire, and I'm getting flustered for no reason. When those things are out of my control, just controlling what I can is the most important thing. So golf really helped my pitching because of that.
It's interesting you bring up the walks, the consecutive walks. It's something as a baseball fan, I've always just you know, when you get to the professional level of something that it's the same thing every time, at least in golf, like, all right, the guy missed 5 straight 5-foot putts, but they could be sliders, they could be downhill, they could be breaking, the hole could be cut different. In baseball, it's like you have the same mound, same distance, same baseball, and you know how to throw strikes. And it always drove me crazy when you watch a guy he can't figure it out. What's going on through a pitcher's mind? Is it mental, or because like you can throw strikes at will, like no matter what, you could throw a strike. But for some reason, guys are just they can't find it. Yankees, like Ivan Nova's out there in the day. He just couldn't throw a fucking strike. You're watching on TV, you're like, throw a strike, throw a strike. It's 4 straight walks, throw a strike. What happens there?
At the couple different things. One, definitely mental. Can be physical. Maybe you're battling something and you're just out of whack. You know, we don't always pitch at 100% out there, so maybe we're doing something out of the ordinary. I think a lot of times, like I would say 80% of the time when guys are having command issues, they're trying to play keep away instead of actually letting the guys hit it. And what happens is if you do that and you start letting them hit it, you get a lot more quick contact. The guys make the plays behind you. You get in a groove. The umpire gets in a groove. You know, like if I paint a heater down and away, and then I go to like a fastball up and in, and then a breaking ball, and then another pitch inside, and then a change up, and then I get a 1-2 count and I paint that pitch and it might be an inch outside, that umpire is probably going to say ball. But if I consistently throw it in that spot, it's hard for him to tell whether that's a strike or a ball. They start to just believe that those are strikes just because they're humans. So they're going to do that. We don't have computers yet. But I think that's what happens. And for me in my career, almost all the time it was mental. I was trying to not let them hit it. I was trying to strike them out on pitch 1 instead of just letting things happen and letting 94 to 96 take care of itself, letting a good slider take care of itself. I really struggled with that early on, but you know, those moments, you want to talk about, here's a major league record. You won't find this in Baseball Reference unless you dig really deep. The only pitcher in major league history to walk 4 consecutive batters and still get the save. Figure that one out.
Wow.
That feels like a riddle.
I mean, the fans there were just like, fucking figure it out, Ryan. Like,
I was in Philly. I'm facing the Phillies, and like I got a 2-0 lead. Zambrano had 80-something pitches through 8, and I guess he had a blister, and they're like, "Hey, Demp's in." And I'm like, "What?" Like I wasn't ready. Z was dealing, and I thought, "Oh," so I go out there, I get the first out, and all of a sudden walk. And it's Philly, and they're thumping. This is like 2007. No, sorry, this is 2005. 2005, and they got a good team, and like Ryan Howard comes up, you know, and I go walk, you know, here comes Larry Rothschild. Now I walk Pat Burrell, and walk a run, and it's 2-1, and Dusty's like getting ready to come up the top step. This is a true story, guys. And I just go like really loud. I'm like, and you see Bake look up, right? And I'm like, no. And he goes, all right, motherfucker, go get it then. Just like that. And I went punch out.
Let's go. Fuck you.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Just his reaction, and we got out of it. And yeah, but like that just showed you right there. Things were crumbling. I was pulling a Vandevelt really fast, but I somehow managed to just scrape together a victory. It was a beautiful thing.
You know, one of the things I've known about you, and this could be one of your best, you know, you have a lot of accolades, you have a lot of awards and all these things, but on Hot Ones, one of our favorite shows on YouTube, they actually give Will Farrell, one of the funniest people in the world, said that you're just a very funny guy. Like that name drop to me was such a stunning, like, oh yeah, Ryan Dempster, what a funny fucking guy. Like what they said you're known as one of the best clubhouse guys in like all of sports. Like how did you get that you know, everyone thinks that of you? Like how did Ryan Dempster become the clubhouse guy? Is it because of your Canadian like hockey room, locker room type of atmosphere? Because that's what I'm getting the vibes right now. I feel like I'm talking to a hockey guy, to be honest.
My dad.
Okay.
I mean, my family in general, like that's just how we are. Like my mom's one of 8, my dad's one of 5. We had like family get-togethers like together, so both sides of the family, and like we don't even have like, well, we can't go to Uncle Ted's house because, you know, they're fighting. Like we just all got along, and it was always fun. Dinner time was always like my poor mom. I got 2 younger brothers, and we were always quoting movie lines and, you know, telling jokes. My dad was taking me to comedy clubs when I was 18, and we just love it. It's always just been our way of coping at times through humor. And Yeah, and I've just been passionate about it. And then I'm a big fan of Will's. So when he came in, I was like, all right, I'm not holding back. How many chances do you get to meet this guy? And met him. He was throwing out the first pitch for Kicking and Screaming with Mike Ditka. And that son of a bitch stole my glove.
See, he says you gave him his glove, your glove.
I said, hey, do you need a glove to use? And he's like, that would be great. And so then he just left with it.
No.
And so, yeah, which was fine. I was thrilled, he took my glove. That's cool. So then he comes back years later. He's doing the campaign, and him and Zach Galifianakis, and Zach's walking up and down the dugout, has anybody seen my inhaler? And he's losing his mind, right? And we're like, dude, you got asthma? He goes, no, I keep my weed in there. He was just like, he was so great. And so they did the first pitch, and he ordered out a pizza and all this stuff. And we ate a pizza on the mound, and we're having a blast and having this conversation. And I go, hey, Will, by the way, what did you do with my glove? You remember you took my glove when you were here last? And he's like, Ryan, I am so sorry about that. He goes, by the way, I gave it to a homeless guy out in front of Dick's Sporting Goods. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. I don't know if he really did, but he said he didn't have it anymore.
Yeah, you'll never know.
No, and that's part of the fun.
Did you feel like when you went into like a new locker room that it was your duty to be the locker room guy because of having like kind of like, all right, Dempster's on the team, he's coming in here, he's the funny guy. Like, did you always feel like you had to be the funny guy?
I didn't feel like I had to be. I loved being that guy.
Right.
I've always
be honest, right? Like it is like to be like a locker room camaraderie guy. Like you see that in hockey all the time. Like, why are they keeping this guy around? Well, like he's the best locker room guy in the world. And to the average fan, you're like, what the hell does that even mean? The guy doesn't have any goals this year. He rides the fourth line. He's not that good of a player. Like, let's just put some money into another guy. It's like, no, that's the makeup. That's the guy. That's the stuff that we don't see as fans. The plane rides, the train rides, the buses in, the locker room. When you guys have anything, rain delays, like you got to keep these guys entertained.
That's one of the best compliments a person can
get,
I feel like, too, is a great locker room guy.
Yeah, I would agree. Like at the end of the day, I always say this is like when we get done playing baseball, no matter who you are, man, like the greatest, when Ken Griffey Jr. retired, they just kept playing more baseball games.
Right.
Like they don't stop for anybody. So
Nope.
like, as much as we admire that, it's the relationships you build and like those moments. And like the 1998, 99, 2000 Marlins, I'm still friends with we have group text messages that still go. Like we're still all really close. Cliff Floyd, Mike Lowell, Mike Redden, Mark Kotze, Preston Wilson. You go down the list, Kevin Millar, Derek Lee, like we're all still buddies. And all of those
Marlins
moments
team was absolutely fucking stacked.
Loaded. Look at that 1999 Marlins team, the 98 Marlins team. Yeah. But the 1999 Marlins team, like guys who had careers, 12 of us had careers in the big leagues,
Crazy good.
But I really, I reveled in that. And I love that. And I love, because I also understood it's a long season. You're 162 games in 187 days. And you're with each other all the time. And some guys are serious, and that's okay. And you have to respect their seriousness. I was serious when I pitched. The other 4 days, if I could find something, some way to, create a little bit of opportunity to make somebody laugh. I was around Millar so much, and it was easy. So him and I it was like, Abbott and Costello, just like, who's going to do the funny thing today or try to do something funny. And sometimes it was stupid, but at the same time, it was for the right reasons. And, when I got to Boston in 2013, that was my job. Like they didn't hire me to be a number one starter. We already had two of those. They didn't hire me to be, a number three. They just hired me to make my starts every fifth day, pitch as well as I could. But like after 2012, after the beer and so remember the whole fried chicken and beer in Boston, yeah. Right? Like
yep.
What did I do on opening day? I brought in a case of Popeyes and told all the guys beer's upstairs. Like,
yeah.
You diffuse the situation right away.
Yep.
And like, let's go. It's about baseball's fun. We're playing a game. We're not curing cancer. We're
Right.
out there playing a baseball game. We're having fun. Yes, serious. Yes, got to do your job. Otherwise, you're gone. Somebody else will take it. But smile, have fun, because when you're relaxed and you're having fun, the old adage, right? You're winning the game 10-0, and what does the broadcaster say? They're in the dugout. Everybody's doing secret handshakes and smack each other on the butt, and they're like, "Look at these guys having fun, man! Aren't they great?" You're losing 10-0. You do that, they're like, "They don't take anything serious." It's like, no, it's the same thing. So it's about having fun and relaxing, being focused in the moment. But there's so much dead time, whether that's jumping on some safety cards on takeoff and doing the ski jump and just flying down the aisles as the plane's taking off.
Right.
That's good humor. You might blow a knee out, but it's funny. You're gonna have to deal with it.
I'm assuming this is your vibe on the golf course, right? Music playing, beers being drank. I mean, there's no seriousness, no yelling at caddies.
No, it's
Yeah,
like,
that's the kind of
yeah,
guy I
it's,
want to play golf with. I mean, this is a foursome I want to be a part of. Ryan Dempster's foursome is something that you've now entered my like dream foursome guy. Just
Yes.
talking to you for 20 minutes.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the right vibe. It's like you can get caught up, I feel like, and it's cool to hear you talk about the like baseball and the perspective that it's a game, right? Because it's like even us, like we feel like with our job we can get stressed out with it, but it's like we're actually doing what we would be doing anyways for fun. Like we'd be sitting around a bar talking about fucking golf with our buddies. That's genuinely what we would be doing, and that would be fun. That would be like the best part of the week. We're fortunate enough we get to do it for a job. And so it is funny because like you said, there's certain people you can have a super serious nature to it. But man, you can almost apply that to anything where it's like, no, it's like life's supposed to be enjoyable. Like life's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be such a grind all day in and out. Yeah, there's times you have to be serious. You have to get stuff done. We all understand that. But overall, like we're here to have a good time, and then you're gone. That's pretty much it. So it's kind of it's a philosophy I feel like people could benefit from applying to pretty much anything.
Yeah, and then surrounding yourself with people like that. Like I think that's super important. Like, I said Millard, him and I are such good friends, but we talk about that all the time. It's like life's too short, and there's nothing wrong with being mad. Emotions are great to have. You can be mad, you can be angry, you can be sad, frustrated, all those things. But at the end of it all, I choose, the positive side of things. Like if I hit the ball, on a par 3 and I hit it in the water off the tee, instead of being mad I hit it in the water, most of the times I'm going to choose it's like, this is going to be a really great par. Like that's how I think when I'm out on the course. That's how I think when I was out on the baseball field. Like, yeah, like things are steamrolling right here, but I'm one pitch away from getting out of this. Or like if I leave the field and people are like, oh, you're not mad about that? You're darn right I'm mad about that. That was my job. I get paid to do that. And I didn't do my job. And there's nothing worse than when you don't do your job. So, but there's nothing I can do about it now. So I'm not going to walk around with my head hung low. Instead, I'm going to come in tomorrow with my head held high and teach all these young kids that when things don't go right, how to get back on the horse and work hard and be ready for that next time out, because it's going to come really fast. And the more that guys can do that, the more you have a chance of sticking in a league and playing for having a career. Instead of, I tell guys all the time, do you want a cup of coffee or do you want to have the whole coffee pot? It's up to you, and I chose that route. I still choose that route in my life of, sometimes, I have to be a little bit more sensitive because I'm like, something will happen and I'll just make a comment that I thought was funny and then somebody else is hurt by it. So I'm like, okay, I got to be careful. Yeah. That's why I stay off Twitter at night,
How have you done with the transition to now you're MLB Network analyst, Marquee Sports? Do you like that side of the camera?
Yeah, I love talking baseball, as you can tell. So like to break down stuff and look at things and analyze things and give the viewer out there the understanding of what we're going through as players when we're out there playing, because we always want to have some answer, and sometimes the answer is not found, right? Like why when I throw a pitch right down the middle and a guy pops it up, and then I come in the dugout and everybody says great pitch, but I throw the pitch like in the perfect spot and the guy like flips his bat and it bloops over the first baseman's head and we lose the game, and then the pitching coach is like, man, I would have went with the slider right there. It's like, so like I try to have fans understand that aspect where it's like, you have things that are unexplainable, you have things that are explainable, and you have actual tangible things that I can watch as an ex-player and go, oh, dude, this pitcher's dropping his arm down, or he's not spinning the ball right. So it's fun to do that. And then I also like, I love the off the mound stuff where I can actually like interview guys and do this, talk to them about the stories that exactly we talked about, the bus rides, the limo ride to Millar's mom's house in LA that caught on fire. That to me is a memory that will never go away.
You have to expand on that.
I mean, you have to.
This is quite amazing. So everybody got traded away. Gary Sheffield got traded to LA with CJ and the Piazza deal and Bobby Bowe and all that, and then Piazza got traded away. So now we're going to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers, and Kevin's mom has a beautiful home in the hills out there. And so he's like, we're gonna have a barbecue at the house. I got a couple limos coming. and we're going to go. So we're like, all right, this is great, man. So we all hop in the limos, and of course Kevin hops in the Porsche with Chef, and we're making our way up and to Kev's mom's house, and dude, one of the ACs goes out in the limo, and it's August, it's hot, sweltering hot. We're on the 405 in rush hour traffic, ridiculous. We finally get up there, and we're like, this limo's got to go. We're not riding in this thing up to Chef's later. So we go do the barbecue. We have a blast. Sheffield's like, all right, come up to his house up in Pacific Palisades, this beautiful house up on the hill, basketball court, tennis court, like you name it. We're going to go have a good time. So we all hop in this other limo, and we're driving. Meanwhile, Kevin's in this beautiful, nice Porsche with Gary. And we get to the gate at Pacific Palisades, and we're sitting there waiting. And all of a sudden, our driver just yells, "Get out!" Like, "Get out!" And we're like, dude, like yelling at us, like meanly yelling at us. And we're like, calm down, man. Like, I know we were a little loud back here. We've had a few. That's okay. He's like, no, get out. There's a fire. And we're like, what? And we open the limo door, dude. And this thing is just flames. Yeah. And in here is like Mike Lowell, Levon Hernandez, Edgar Renneria, myself, Brad Penny. We're all inside this limo. Half of our like roster is in a limo that's on fire out in front of the gate. And we get out, and then Levon, I think it was Levon or Edgar, had left their Louis Vuitton satchel. Okay, it's a purse. Okay, it's a satchel, but and he left it in there. So he goes back in because he's got like cash and watches and all this stuff. And while the limo's on fire, and we're like, no, dude, you can't go back in there. So he gets it. He comes out, and I'm not kidding you. Like within 10 seconds of him getting out, this thing, you just hear this like.
No
and
way.
Oh yeah, like out of a Hollywood movie, dude. Like it full on bursts into flames. And we're like calling up to security, like, hey dude, security guard's like, yeah, they're down here, but I don't think they're bringing the limo in. Can somebody come pick them up?
Did this get any press? Like, was this national news?
No, I mean, it was 1998. There's no reason for national news. It was so unbelievable. And then we just hopped in the back of Chef's Range Rover. He came and picked us all up, and we just left the burning limo there and said, see you guys later.
Holy fuck.
We almost lost half the team.
Just think about what kind of story that would have been in 2021. Holy
Oh my God, because we all would have videotaped it.
Yeah.
Right.
Snapchatted it, tweeted it,
Right.
Instagrammed it, everything. And it didn't make the headlines like it does nowadays.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet it was kind of cool to see it.
It was. Like for us, it was kind of an adrenaline rush. Like it's hard sometimes duplicating the on-field adrenaline rush off the field. So like something like that was like, all right, it's a good time, guys.
Yeah. Just light your car on fire. It's new training tactics. Genius.
Yeah. So for anybody in the future that's listening to this, if you're ever looking for limos, don't go through Kevin Millar.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Wild.
Golf question. Top 3 golf courses you've ever played in your life. We always get this question for us because we've been recently traveling around the world. We've got to play Pebble Beach, fucking Pine, all these places we're playing. Cypress, Riggs. I didn't get to play Cypress, but what's your top 3? Do you have a definitive list?
In no particular order. I mean, for me, Pebble Beach is just such this special place because you've watched it so much on TV. You've seen all the pro-ams and then the US Opens and the tournaments and all that stuff. So like to go to Pebble, I played it a bunch, is pretty remarkable, and like, to sit there and play number 7 and, hit a pitching wedge one day and hit a 6-iron the next is pretty crazy. I love it. To me, I grew up on the ocean. So like, that's probably my number. Yeah. I mean, the conditions I played in probably close to my number 1. Capilano Country Club in Vancouver, on the west Vancouver side, so over the bridge.
Dude, I hear Vancouver's just supposed to be off the charts. That city is supposed to be as good as it gets.
I've heard they have good golf and good sushi. I don't know about the sushi, but I've heard from a lot of hockey guys that's the place to go. When you go to Vancouver, you got to get the sushi.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, I mean, you just get such fresh, good sushi. It's got and Chinese food, one of the best Chinatowns in North America. It's unrivaled. It's incredible. But the Capilano Country Club, like you have golf shots where you're like literally like you got the Lionsgate Bridge and the ocean while you're teeing off, and you're in the woods. Like it's super exclusive, super hard to get on, but I can try and hook you guys up if you're up there. And then I would say for me, just because of the day that we had and the experience that we had, St. Andrews, that whole trip was great, but that whole escapade of how that all turned out to be the way it was and how we got to play it and all that stuff, and it was a blast.
What's the story behind St. Andrews? Would you go with a big crew?
I took, so the year I retired after the 13th season in 2014, I went with my dad, my brothers, my best friend, my uncle, who's like my big brother, and then 3 of my best friends. So there's 8 of us. We all went over there. We played both Turnberries. We played Prestwick. We played Kingsbarn, Carnoustie, both Troons, and St. Andrews. All like we were playing 36 a day. We played every day at least 18 holes, and it was just awesome. So then we didn't have a tee time, as people might know, like trying to get it to work out with the raffle and then having to go wait. Like we woke up at 4 a.m. to go over to the caddy shop to put our names in. So I put the names in, and 2 foursomes, 4 guys that loved golf and 4 guys that were on the trip that, if they played it, they didn't care. Like they like golf, but more along, they like the trip we were on. And those 4 guys won the raffle. So it's like, that sucks, So, but our caddy at Prestwick's like, all you have to do is go out to the caddy shop and you float them a 50-pounder and you guys will be playing no time. So we went there.
Really good.
There's like 10 people in front of us, and I'm like, go up there, and I was like, hey, I think we get on. He's like, well, got a pretty full tee sheet here. And I was like, oh, okay. Hey, if you can do anything, that's great. I appreciate the effort. And I just threw him some cash. And then next thing you know, he's like, oh yeah, I found you at tea time. Yeah, raise after your buddies. And I was like, oh, this is sweet. Yes.
Yeah, I like the fact that there are institutions and places where like they legitimately block times off for that one little tip that you can give them. They're like, like it's restaurants have that where no, sorry man, like it's gonna be a 2-hour wait. It's like, let me know if there's anything you can do. Actually, something just opened up right by the bar. It's like, well, 2 seconds ago that wasn't there, but whatever. I like the fact that this process is in place, because that you need stuff like that. That's really, really cool.
That's very funny. Because like when we went, I went over and I met like a guy that I knew who was like a listener to the show, and like we were pretty much told you could do the lottery or you can walk your ass out there at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, however early you want to risk it. And so that's what we did, and we just didn't get the tip that like, no, if you just grease the fucking guy in the stand, you'd be on the tee whenever you want. Like we just didn't get that tip.
And it was so much fun too. So like we finished our round and we just sat on 18 with a cool, so we stayed at the Russix Hotel right there on the 18th fairway, and there was 8 of us, and we had the 4 bottom suites along the bottom, so we were just tailgating and hanging out, and so we just ponied up on the green, and the 8 of us, and we were just betting 2 pounds on long drive, okay, and then the approach shot, and we just sat there all afternoon and did this, right? So we're having such a good time and having this blast, have a great dinner, get done. We go to bed. Well, we kind of had this standing order was we never locked any of the sliding glass doors because like guys had beer in their room or some guys had snacks in their room. And so like everything was, you need toothpaste. It was like kind of like a giant frat party. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning, right? I wake up and my buddy is slamming pillows around the room at 3 a.m. going, get out. And I wake up thinking, man, what happened here? What do you get out? We have like somebody in our, my brother, 20 minutes before this, had lured a seagull into the alley with potato chips and got it so that the alley narrowed down. So it got to the point where the seagull couldn't lift its wings up, and he caught the seagull. And then he slid our sliding glass door open, and then he just put it in our room. And then he said, there, oh, we got it all on video. It's so good. He's like, there you go, buddy. Have fun. And I just wake up to this. Seagull just going around my room. My buddy's trying to swat it with a pillow. Oh my God, that St. Andrews, that whole Scotland trip was unbelievable. Capped off by that incredible day and night right there.
What a genius. I couldn't catch a seagull if you gave me 10 years. I couldn't figure out how to catch a seagull.
No.
You're telling me you're like engineering a way to get it into a slot in an alleyway where it can't flap its wing. Like, what are you
Like 300. He got it into the spot where they can't.
He did. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Holy shit, man. So so all of your best memories have the word "get out" in the middle of it, right? It's the fucking limo, the St. Andrews. You just hear "get out." You're like, what is happening now? Seagulls, limo's on fire.
The mad panic. Yes.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
we did. Yeah, we had such a good time. I mean, I've been so lucky to play so many courses. You know, spring training of 2004, Greg Maddux walked up to me and he said, I was coming off Tommy John. He's like, "Hey, you're hurt. You're not playing, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right, can you play golf?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm going to come to you every morning. I'm going to tell you what time our tee time is and where we're playing." And I was like, and he would just walk up. He'd be like, "Phoenix Country Club, 1047, you know, Mesa Country Club, 1102, you know, Silverleaf." Like he just was just going down the list, and we just played and played and played. And we played like 32 straight days of golf.
Holy shit.
And we're at Phoenix Country Club, and I have a meltdown on a par 3. I think it's like hole number like 12 or 13. It's got a little water to the left. And I on like the back 9, I start to get the shanks. I'm like hozzling everything. I'm all over the place. I'm really struggling. And I hit this ball straight into the water, and I just took my iron and I just chucked it in the water. And I was like, "I'm out of here, dude." And he just looked at me and he said, "Hey, man, golf's not for everybody."
Ain't that the fucking truth?
Yeah, it was so great. But he changed my golf world for the better. I loved it.
Yeah, that hits you right in your core right there when somebody says that to you.
What's like the most stunning group you've ever played with where you're like, have you like, you know, there's some stories people playing with Michael Jordan or whatever. Do you have a crazy foursome you've ever played with?
Oh, I mean, multiple, you know, World Series champ foursomes.
Yeah.
Stunning round of golf.
Or one that made you really nervous, maybe, is a better answer, right? Like we've all had those foursomes where you just played with people and you just like didn't have it that day. Like for me, it's whenever a guy invites me to a country club or you get a message or whatever, and it's like you may know a buddy, but it's that one member and he's just looking over you like he's like the bigger, better person, and you step up to that first tee. Like I'll always have those memories just etched in the back of my brain, just being like, man, I felt uncomfortable that day. Just that uncomfortable feeling to me, like it never ever leaves me.
I think honestly, playing in that first ever Diamond Resorts tournament, because it was like my first pro tournament.
Totally.
I was pretty overwhelmed. You know what? Take that back. The BMW Championship Pro-Am when it was at Conway Farms in Chicago, and I was playing with Jonathan Vegas and you know some kind of heavy hitters from like the business world in Chicago.
Totally.
And we tee off number 1. It's a shorter par 4 there. And I was like, I'm just going to strike a 5-iron down the middle. You know, there was like a sizable gallery for a Pro-Am. I was like, whew, all right, you know, here we go. And I chunk it.
Oh.
Yeah, I chunk it like 100 yards. I hit my straight ahead. And luckily, I hit it in like the cutout. I hit it straight, but I hit it in like the cutout. So it wasn't in the rough. And then I hit another 5-iron from there to like just right in front of the green. And I'm like, all right. And then I proceeded to like struggle. And then I just got going. My brother was my caddy and he was a 10 on a caddy scale. I shot a 75 with a double on 18.
Holy fuck.
Come on.
Yeah. Yes. I doubled 18. I hit my drive. I said, don't go left because there's tall weeds. Even if I'm right and in that bunker, it's fine. I bomb my drive. I get up there and I'm so in the zone. I just like almost drained a 70-footer on 17. I birdied 16. I birdied 15. I'm like on this roll. I get up there. I'm like, where the fuck's my ball? And I'm like looking around, and there's a marshal down in the gully with a you're right here. And I'm like, no way, that's not me. And he goes, yeah, you hit that gentleman up there. I look up the hill. This dude's got an ice pack on his head. And he's like sitting there like this. I was so in the zone, I didn't even notice. And I go up, I'm like, sir, I'm so sorry. And he goes, that's okay. Can I just get a picture? And I was like, absolutely. Absolutely. It rattled me. I made double bogey and it was tough, but it was
Dude,
it was definitely nerve-wracking.
that's the number one fear for any amateur golfer that gets put in that situation. It's like, all right, I don't want to fucking kill somebody. I don't want to hurt somebody. And you come over the hill, a guy's just holding his head, bleeding all over the place. You're like, was that me, man? Tell me that wasn't me.
I always wanted to play in a full gallery, like in one of those primes where it's like really, like the Phoenix or something like that. And then like, you're like, hey, can you guys just move a little bit back left?
Yeah.
And then when they all move, go, hey, can you guys just move a little bit more back left? Like just move them. Just keep doing it like 4 or 5 times.
Dude, yeah, we always say like if Trent or I or any of us really played in one of those things, they'd have to bring out those like airplane guys that's just fucking, let's walk you all back just another 100 yards. Let's start using yards as a form of distance here. Like feet's not enough here. Let's go.
Oh,
True, man.
God.
It's true.
Because dude, I've had that fucking fear. I mean, I've never played in pro-ams, but like I said, when I go to a new country club or like I'm like, I'm sorry, boys. Like I'm a missile out here. I'm a weapon. Like I just hit one, I duck hooked onto the other. Like I know I almost hit that guy. Like there's no worse feeling than like just not being able to control it. And there's human beings around. You're playing one of those tight clubs, and you're like, guys, I've said the word I'm a missile out here so many times because you just see these things going at foreheads. And I can't imagine playing where people are actually lining the fairways, staring at your swing, and you're like, holy shit. That first hole, credit to you. I mean, you're a professional athlete. You're much stronger mentally than me. But if I chunk that first shot, over. Pack my bags. I'm done. No chance.
Yeah,
Covering.
that was tough to get out of, man. Like I said, my brother was a 10 on the caddy. He Diamond Resorts caddied me, and he was the worst.
Yeah.
And whatever book he read or YouTube video he watched or whatever caddy he talked to, he was pretty dialed in, and he got me right for that.
I love that you're an experienced guy. We always talk about like when we talk about our favorite golf courses, it always seems to match up with like the experience you had at the course, right? You always have to kind of play pretty well, and then you have to have like a good caddy. You have to have a good group. I could probably play Augusta National, shoot 120, but I wouldn't base my experience off of the golf course really to start. I'd be like, all right, I want to know everything going in. Like, did I have a good group? Did I have a good caddy? Was my like drive there good? Was my experience? Did I have a good drink? All that stuff adds up to me. That's why I really do. I agree with you when it comes to like, we've played the best golf courses in the world, but my personal favorites are the ones I've played the best and the ones that we've played like and had the most fun. So
yeah, and that's when you asked me the list, that's kind of how it went in my head. Like, being able to experience a ton of great courses all over the US, all over the world. And then, I played in Australia at some course where kangaroos were hopping all over the place.
Where'd you play? We've been to Australia.
I can't, and to be honest, I'll find out. I apologize for not remembering the course name right now, but it was year 2004 we played there. But yeah, just like the experience itself was so much fun, and having those times, because that's what life's all about, man. Stuff is stuff. Experiences and memories, those are what's so much fun. Like when you're talking about experiences and caddies, like Whisper Rock. For me, I love Whisper Rock, and I go play there. And a couple reasons, but I go take my buddy. And at the time, my buddy was, he was not a very good golfer. And it's an overwhelming course to play that course so I'm playing with Damian Rhodes, his buddy, my buddy, and then and Bones played with us. Bones essentially caddied for my buddy Evan. So he like helped him out so much, hit it here, kind of tailored the course while he was playing. And like he's basically got just 18 holes of Bones caddying for him in prime Mickelson, And after that, I wanted Mickelson to win every tournament so Bones could get 10%. I'm like, like I rooted for him so hard. I don't know Phil at all, because I'll never forget that. Like to this day, what he did for him. And it changed my buddy Evan. He's way better golfer now. He's like, it took me from like liking golf to loving golf and wanting to be better at it. And, that day we still talk about it. And that was years and years ago.
Dude, Whisper Rock's, Whisper Rock, like Maury Povich was the first one who started talking to us about it when he's on the show, who, he loves that place. And then I did like 2 months ago, I moved out here to Scottsdale just for a 6-7 month lease. And you hear about it, you hear no pun, but you hear like whispers about it all the time, and the hang And man, it is such a good example of what we're talking about, where it's just like they don't give a shit who you are, right? Like once you're a member, you could be Phil Mickelson, you could be Colt Knost, you could be a local, head pro. Like if you're a member at Whisperock, you pay the same amount of money and you have the same exact experience. You check your ego at the door, you walk in, they got 2 golf courses. They're both solid, like really solid, like really good, but they're not like, oh my God, you'd be blown away. It's not Pebble. It's not, but they're really, really solid. But the hang, the experience, going in there and just everybody being like the caddies and the players and the members and the guests are all on the same page, on the same level, and you have a blast together. And it's like, we had a question one time a couple of years ago that one of our listeners sent in. I was like, would you rather go out with like your 3 buddies, your 3 best buddies back home and go to like the local dog track for a Saturday round? Or would you rather get invited to the best country club in town? You show up and you're playing with like 3 stiff members, but you get to play the coolest course in town. And it's like, I think we all said like, no, I'd rather go Saturday with my boys and do our thing, because it's about the experience. And like, that's just the answer, is golf is about that experience. So it is interesting to hear, like, we're not architecture geeks. Like you can have the coolest course, a fine course, whatever, but that experience is what makes it so memorable. And it is funny how those rounds like jump to your head of what's the favorite course you ever played. It might not be about breaking down the angles or what the course architect did here. It's more about like, no, actually, like, my buddy holed out on the 7th hole. We went and got a bunch of transfusions and pounded them with our caddies, and that's the best course I ever played in my entire life.
And then they put a seagull in my room.
Then they put a seagull in my room. Yeah, right.
Well, you're right though, because like another great trip. I'm really close with my brothers and my buddies, so we do this quite a bit. But we did 2 years ago. Ted Lilly got a team of 8 guys. I got a team of 8 guys. Ted Lilly, former left-handed pitcher. He got a bunch of guys. There was like Cody Ross was there. Coy Hill was on the trip, and then family, friends. And we did Bandon Dunes. So we rented 2 houses, and they each sleep 8 guys. We swapped off dinner, and we'd have dinner and poker tournaments. So we play Pacific Dunes, and they have the punch bowl there. So we get done the punch bowl, and we've been having a blast all day. And sun's getting ready to go down, and we're at the punch bowl. They're serving cocktails, and what's his name? The PGA logo guy, Elkington. Steve Elkington's there, right?
Oh yeah.
So he's out.
What a guy.
Yeah. And he's buddies with Cody Ross. So then he somehow, he makes his way over into our circle kind of thing, And my dad, I said, my dad's the sense of humor guy, right? And he just likes to keep things light. So there's a ton of people out on the putting, 36 hole putting course here. And it's, I don't know if have you been out there to the punch bowl there?
I have. I've slept on the punch bowl one night.
Oh, it's the best. So we're out there, we're having cocktails, and my dad just gets his hair up his ass. He's like, goes over, grabs his bows, puts it right in the middle of the punch bowl and turns on Christmas music, right? And we're like in July, I think, or August. It was August. And Steve Elkington looks over and he's like, Wally, Christmas music, And my dad just looks at him and he goes, hey, Steve, take a look around. It's fucking Christmas.
Christmas is a mindset to your dad. I love that.
Yeah, and then no lie, dude, this is a true story. 1:30 in the morning, I'm going to bed, and I look in the kitchen. There's my dad in his underwear with his arm around Steve Elkington drinking a Corona. Yeah, that's where I get it from, guys.
They're cheersing. They're like, Merry fucking Christmas. 1:30 in the morning wearing their underwear.
Yeah. Drinking eggnog?
Yeah, drinking eggnog.
Fuck, that's great. Yeah, I was there like a year and a half ago, and we had there was like 29 guys with Matt Janella, who's a good buddy of mine, and this trip, the Uncle Tony, that's got a bunch of his good buddies. And I got lucky enough to get invited, and they do, whatever, like maybe the second or third night. I think it's called the Uncle Bill, and it's like you randomly get paired up, you pull names out of a hat with another guy on the trip, and you have like a 2-man putting tournament. And the the winners, like everybody throws in some cash and you get whatever. It's like there's a cool prize, a cool trophy, and it's just a fun part of the trip. And I ended up making like a 20-footer on the last hole to go to a playoff. We ended up winning in a playoff. They give you this big cup, this huge cup, and you get to fill it whatever you want. So naturally, I was like, transfusion, like just order as many transfusions from the bar as you possibly need to. put it in there. And they're like, usually somebody puts like a weak beer in there or whatever. And so we're just housing these transfusions. And like, we've been drinking all day. So I got hammered. And I guess I went out to the putting green while everybody's having dinner to take like a phone call at the time. Who knows who I was calling? Like my brother. I could be talking to anybody. But I sat down on the punch bowl at like 8 p.m. to make this call, and I just never got up. And they went back to the cottage, and they're like drinking. They're out by the fire pit, and eventually, they're like, "Where the fuck is Riggs at?" And they're like, call me." And I think it was Janelle or one of the other guys in the trip was like, "You know what, dude? I don't know that he ever left the punch bowl." And they get this crew together, and they grab one of the shuttles, and they're all drinking, and they got a very funny video of them doing like a search and rescue mission trying to find me. Sure enough, they're like legit laying like Jesus basically in the middle of the green was me snoring my ass off. I just hadn't moved since like 8 p.m. in the middle of the punch bowl. So I feel your father's love for the punch bowl.
For the punch bowl.
That's right.
Oh. And feel the pain of transfusions. That's what happens.
Oh yeah, it was a tough round the next morning. Very tough round. But yeah, that place is special. We gotta get out there again soon. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is a really good place.
Whew. All right, man. Well, look, this has been very, very fun. We clearly got to play some golf together at some point.
Yeah, that's going to happen. If I'm making my way out for spring training, we'll connect and do that for sure. So
sweet, let's do it.
But at some point in 2021, a round together is a must.
Yep,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We're very thankful for the time. This has been a ton of fun. We got to get you back on. I feel like you could tell golf stories for years, which is what this show is all about. But people got to check you out. MLB Network, Off the Mound, which is your interview show. So keep it up. Keep up the good work, and we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. That was a blast.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, man.